3 degrees.
All right, let's do this.
You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, the Tuesday 2 o'clock edition.
All right.
Welcome to the airwaves, my little buddy.
Hey, Rudy, always a pleasure, my dear friend, to speak with you on the People's Airwaves. Fancy Brian, good to see you too, man.
Dominic, a modest show note will now be a 2 to 5 product. And our bill, just like I implied we would be when I said a differing time yesterday, but now we don't even have to change the timestamps.
Nice.
Devil's Advocates 2 to 5. You're welcome, Scott Kochka. And our pal Earl Ingram is rejoining us on the airwaves today. You know him, you love him, you missed him, and he's back in the 5 o'clock hour. Earl Ingram Jr. going off at 5 o'clock.
So what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
And then Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood with Ellen Robinson at 6 to 7. And then our friend Tim Slecker, the good doctor, coming in, busted pencils, educated educators, talking education, 7 to 8 p.m. If you know a radio station in this city, in this world with a better lineup,
Oh, hell no.
go buy it.
Also on this great show today, Rudy, the Devil's Advocate, 2 to 5, make a note. Our pal, Judge, feels good to say that, Chris Taylor, Dane County Circuit Court, branch number 12. She's going to join us at 3:30, and JHAC, Executive Director, Common Cause of Wisconsin, joining us in the happy hour, talking about redistricting and what's going on here in the state of Wisconsin. And of course, got to start out with the sad news of the day, the COVID numbers from DHS here in Wisconsin. Let's get to it. 4,078 positive confirmed cases out of 10,492 total tests given. That's a 39% infection rate, and a terrible number here, deaths. 107 new deaths and 277 new hospitalizations.
107, that is a record, Dom, to my memory. 104, the prior record for deaths, COVID-19 deaths in the state of Wisconsin.
And that means over the last 3 days, we've had a 40% infection rate, a 29% infection rate, and a 39% infection rate. So we're what, 35, 34% average over the 3 days infection rates? So over 1 out of every 3 tests given are coming back positive. That is terrible news. And I've seen other communities around the country with way less infection rates freaking out. But, hell, another day in life here in Wisconsin.
I have no snarky response.
I know. Unfortunately, there's not much to say. It is what it is there. Hopefully, people will wear the mask, social distance, listen to your public health servants, and perhaps not so much to the politicians.
Well, Robin Voss doing the PSA now. He's doing all he can, Dom. Him and his friend Mark Polk.
All he can? I mean, he's doing a PSA. That's certainly something.
He's cleaning up his image. Washing some of the blood off his hands, perhaps, Dom.
And on that note, I did reach out to Mark Polkan's staff to see if we could get the good congressman on. I have not heard back in this regard.
He'll come back. Mark's not hiding from us. He'll probably do an hour on Tom Hartman's show tomorrow. And then people, our fair audience, our friends, they'll call us up and tell us all about Mark's appearance on Tom.
You guys should get him on. He's always on Hartman.
Dominic, you also had breaking news. Bill Barr, the Attorney General. What'd he say?
Oh, Rudy, the AP is reporting no evidence of fraud that changed the election outcome. Oh, that's gotta hurt. And apparently, I did see some reporting that Bill Barr, after this interview with the AP, is going to the White House today. I wonder if this will be his last day on the job. Briefly here at Rudy, Attorney General William Barr said Tuesday the Justice Department has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. His comments come despite Trump's repeated claims that the election was stolen. In an interview with the AP, Barr said U.S. attorneys and FBI agents have been working to follow up on specific complaints and information they've received, but they've uncovered no evidence that would change the outcome of the election. Quote from Barr to the AP, to date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election. Of course, the comments are especially direct coming from Barr, who's been one of the president's most ardent allies. A little bit down here in the piece, we know some of the history here. The issues Trump's campaign and the allies have pointed to are typical in every election. The problems with signatures, secrecy envelopes, postal marks on mail-in ballots, as well as the potential for a small number of ballots miscast or lost. But they've also requested federal probes into claims. Attorney Sidney Powell, saw her on the Hannitys yesterday, has spun fictional tales of election system flipping votes, German servers storing U.S. votes, information on election software created in Venezuela at the direction of the, of course, dead Hugo Chavez. Powell has since been removed from the legal team after an interview she gave where she threatened to blow up Georgia with a biblical court filing. Barr
They called that, Dom, releasing the Kraken. And I've got a little article in a minute.
All right. Just
all about releasing the Kraken. It's been released.
Oh, great. Barr didn't name Powell specifically, but said there's been one assertion that would be systemic fraud, and that would be the claim that machines were programmed essentially to skew the election results. And the DHS and DOJ have looked into that. And so far, we haven't seen anything to substantiate that.
Now, Bill Barr is saying there's no election fraud, or at least not in any significant quantity that would affect the outcome of the election. And down there's a little bit more. You mentioned Bill Barr's been summoned to the White House. Do you think he's getting fired or resigning under duress at this time?
I have no idea. I can't imagine he'd be fired now. I mean, you still need the man, right? I mean, you
I'm
still
not
need,
sure.
You need Bill Barr until the end, man. He
You
knows
don't
where
need
all the
Bill
skeletons
Barr.
are buried. You don't start going against Bill Barr. That's one thing Trump's
He's getting fired
really going to
today.
have problems to wrap his head around this, that a lot of the people that he's going to be confronting over the next several weeks and several months are people he actually needs to keep their mouth shut and on his side, especially after he loses his pardon power in 50 days.
Dominic, Bill Barr, he's getting fired. And my early prediction, Rudy Giuliani for acting attorney general. Right after he gets the preemptive pardon. We'll talk about that reporting today as well. I strongly suspect him. So Bill Barr says no election fraud, and therefore Rudy predicts he's going to get fired. Somebody's getting fired. Above and beyond that, Dom, a headline close to home, founded at the Journal Sentinel, dropped about an hour ago. Trump sues to try and reverse Wisconsin's election results. Because of course he did. The recount's done. Now it's time for the litigation. President Donald Trump sued Wisconsin officials Tuesday in a last-ditch effort to reclaim a state he lost by about 20,700 votes. Ooh, that's got to sting. The Republican president filed his suit against Democratic Governor Tony Evers and election officials and Bucky Badger a day after the governor and the head of the State Elections Commission certified Joe Biden had won the state's 10 electoral votes. Now, I'm not clear that Bucky Badger was named. Trump has made little headway with lawsuits in the other states, and he faces an extraordinarily difficult path in Wisconsin. Time is running short under the federal safe harbor law. The results determined by the state will be respected if challenges to the outcomes are resolved by December 8th. That's next week, Tom. The Electoral College meets on December 14th, and the Congress is to count the electoral votes on January 6th. Even if Trump changed the outcome in Wisconsin, Biden would remain on track to be sworn in next month because of his victories in other states. It's now December. Next month is Joe Biden's inauguration.
Woohoo!
Here's some good news. I read on briefly. Wisconsin law says challenges to the election results are to be brought in circuit court, but Trump said, screw that. But Trump filed his lawsuit with the state Supreme Court. Of course he did, where conservatives hold a 4-3 majority. The justices did not immediately say whether they would take up the case. Trump is asking the high court to revoke Evers' certification of the election and revive a partial recount of votes in Milwaukee and Dane counties, the most populous and liberal counties in the state. Trump paid $3 million for that recount, but the process ended up worsening his losing margin by dozens of votes. That also has to sting a little. Trump wants hundreds of thousands of ballots thrown out, in many cases because of technicalities. For instance, he alleges the process election officials have used for more than a decade to conduct in-person early voting. Well, it's illegal, Dom. And we're going to change the rules after the game and sue over it.
And only in 2 counties.
Dominic, he does not. However, alleged ballots cast the same way in other counties of Wisconsin are illegal. So they count in Waukesha, Ozaukee, Washington County, just fine with that process. But in Dane and Milwaukee counties, we're going to sue. His challenges were rejected by the Board of Canvassers in Milwaukee and Dane counties during the recount, but Trump wants the high court to order those boards to reject such ballots. The lawsuit challenges more than 220,000 ballots in Dane and Milwaukee counties, alleging election officials broke the law by continuing the longstanding practice of early voting, allowing voters to avoid the voter ID law by labeling themselves indefinitely confined, allowing clerks to fill in missing information on absentee ballot envelopes, and collecting absentee ballots in Madison parks. How dare they? With Governor Evers' premature certification, he is saying the president of the United States has no right to go to court in order to have illegal ballots examined, said Jim Trupis, a lawyer on the Foxy News. He's not saying we have a frivolous lawsuit. He's saying we have no right to judicial review. That's another level of bad. You're listening to the Devil's Advocates. A level of greatness very, very seldom ever achieved. Come back with us. Trump sued Bucky Badger.
This election was rigged. This election is a total fraud.
Will there be a lawsuit? Yeah, probably.
Holy mackerel, folks.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK. My life's mission was to defeat Donald Trump and turn Wisconsin blue. Mission accomplished, but the battle has only just begun. Devil Radio and WTTN 1580 AM have continued broadcasting the truth, persevering through the pandemic, supporting public health professionals, and turning out the vote in Madison and Dane County in record numbers. Can you help us survive and thrive for the battles to come? Please consider giving a contribution at GoFundMe. Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin. Every dollar helps us continue and makes us stronger.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
the Devil's Advocates.
James Santel, he's a former U.S. attorney. He's our guest live on Brady.
Once again, a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, to talk about the latest news breaking as we speak.
The FBI raided Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney, but once they got there, then they went back and got a more thorough warrant and said, we'll take everything.
My first reaction is you need to teach criminal constitutional law. You've got it just right in terms of the process.
They are kind of a big deal.
This is a really big deal.
It could be. It might be. It is. Devil Radio 92.7.
Yeah.
They're whining quite a bit. They don't like the fact that Ann Jacobs, the sole discretionary, in this case, the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, they don't like the fact that she passed on the vote for certification to Tony Evers, who promptly did that last night. And the state of Wisconsin has certified the vote. But now it's time for a lawsuit. And Tony Evers, I believe you had a quote from him, something about lacking merit.
Yeah, the lawsuit from the president of the United States lacks merit. Yeah, essentially is what Evers said. And I would concur, Governor.
Pretty strong statements being made out there today in the press, Dom. You want to get this one started?
Yeah, I'll get this going here. Curdy, also from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Patrick Marley reporting, the Wisconsin Elections Commission proved once again Tuesday that its bipartisan makeup doesn't mean its members get along. Hours after President Donald Trump sued the commission and others over how the election was conducted, Republican commissioners pushed for the Democratic chairwoman to resign her post. She declined. I've lost all confidence in you as chair, Republican Commissioner Dean Knudsen told Chairwoman Ann Jacobs. You have destroyed the bipartisan nature of what has gone on. Soon afterwards, Knudsen sought to end the meeting and put off any more work by the commission. That effort failed 3-3, with all Republicans trying to halt the meeting and all Democrats supporting plowing ahead. The latest flare-up was over Jacobs' decision Monday to use her powers as chairwoman to confirm Joe Biden's victory by about 20,700 votes. Democratic Governor Tony Evers soon afterwards certified the result. Republicans said Jacobs should have waited to act until Tuesday's meeting when the other commissioners could have had their say on the matter.
They wanted a public spectacle, Dom?
Not a Trumpster wanting to get some publicity. I find it hard to believe. A Curdy state law gives the commission's leader the power to confirm election results, but Republicans argue the commission determines whether they should be forwarded to the governor for certification. Ooh, a process bitch here from Knudsen. He dismissed Jacobs' live stream determination of the results as a dog and pony show that only worsened relations between Democrats and Republicans on the commission. Yeah, because you Republicans have been giving so much respect to the Democrats in this state, and now you think this is going to harm that relationship, Knudsen?
Does this mean we're not friends anymore?
Siding with Knudsen, Republican Commissioner Robert Spindell said Jacobs and other Democrats were trying to hurt Trump's chances in court.
I think the fact that his suit lacks merit is going to hurt his chances in court, Tom.
Obviously, this is long-range Democratic planning solely to mess up the Trump campaign. I mean, long-range Democratic planning, I'm not clear that even exists. Jacobs rejected the claims that said she acted improperly, noting she had handled the election results much as Knudsen had when he was chairman. I am not withdrawing as chair, she said. What I did was not illegal, Michael.
And then I suspect she said, suck it, Republicans.
If I thought you weren't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it.
Democratic Commissioner Mark Thompson, a frequent guest here, said he treated the election results the same way Jacobs did when he was the chairman in 2016. No one asked him to resign then, when Trump nearly won Wisconsin. The only thing I see different is Ann Jacobs is a woman and I'm a white guy, Thompson said. This year, well, you're all Democrats and therefore socialist bastards, according to Dean Knudsen and Trump and the Republicans. I read on from the article, less editorial. This year has been a difficult one for the relatively young commission as it sought to conduct the contentious elections in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic. Well, why didn't they go to the very experienced Government Accountability Board?
Oh, that's right. The Republicans disbanded that.
Republican lawmakers created the commission in 15 because they believed the previous elections board was biased against them. You know, it's like they got a persecution complex, Tom. That panel, called the Government Accountability Board, consisted of 6 retired judges. It conducted a wide-ranging investigation of then Governor Scotty Wanker and other Republicans that ultimately was halted by the state Supreme Court in a very corrupt manner. Knudsen was in the state assembly at that time and sponsored the legislation that created the Elections Commission. He said its equal split in membership would foster compromise. You feeling a sense of compromise today, Dean?
No, not a whole lot.
The commissioners have been able to compromise on some matters, but fractures have appeared on high-profile issues. This fall, the commissioners split 3-3 on whether to put Green Party presidential's ticket on the ballot. The deadlock meant the ticket didn't get added, pleasing Democrats who feared the Liberal Party would siphon off votes from Biden. Recent meetings have shown the strain continues. Last month, Jacobs mused a lot about whether the commission could function, and Spendell contended Democrats were using the pandemic to make it harder for election observers to find out what was going on. It's like they want us to stand behind a piece of plexiglass or something.
No.
But the squabbles aren't constant, and sometimes members reach across party lines. As the Tuesday meeting played out, a Twitter user posted screenshots of Knudsen's voting history, noting he had frequently voted absentee, even as the Trump attacks that form of voting. It caught Jacobs' eyes just hours after Knudsen had called for her resignation. Please do not post people's home addresses. That should be off limits. Yeah, don't dox Knudsen just because he's an inconsistent bastard. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. We've not doxed anyone recently or ever, have we?
You know, I mean, you can find anyone's address on the internet, man. I don't think it's that big a deal.
We've given out a few phone numbers.
Well,
Call us.
They are public servants, and we are the greatest radio show ever.
844-967-2789. Come back after this short break with your calls, and I'm going to release the Kraken.
Are you my pal?
Then I just hate you, and I hate your ass face.
Stop whining.
WTTN 1580 AM News Talk Radio, built for the 99%, is rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
The Lazy Oaf Lounge is Madison's East Side place for friends and family. Whether it's for lunch or dinner, you know you're in for a tasty treat. Awesome apps, burgers, pizza, and the best fish fry in Madison. And join us to cheer on the green and gold with 50-cent wings, beer bucket specials, and free Jell-O shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Plenty of TVs inside or out on the patio. The Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road, and online at lazyoaflounge.com.
Dave from Community PC here. Now more than ever, we're relying on our computers to stay connected with family and friends. Looking for that perfect holiday gift for a family member who struggles with keeping everything up to date? Every day, more and more people are discovering the peace of mind that comes from a Tech Protect plan from Community PC. And it makes the perfect gift for anyone you need to stay connected with. Check out commpc.com to learn more. That's commpc.com. Community PC. We know what makes.
I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. President Trump has been saying it for weeks.
This election was a fraud. It was a rigged election. I mean, I hate to say it, but this was a rigged, at the highest level, it was a rigged election.
The president spoke last week, and now President Trump's Attorney General Bill Barr tells the AP The Justice Department has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud and has seen nothing that would change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Barr says FBI agents have been working diligently to follow up on specific complaints and information they've received, but have found nothing. This is Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
In response to Attorney General Bill Barr, I guess he's the next one to be fired, since he now, too, says there's no fraud. Trump seems to fire anyone in that regard.
Last month, Barr issued a directive to U.S. attorneys across the country, allowing them to pursue any substantial allegations of voter irregularities if they existed. I'm Ed Donahue.
Dell Technologies has announced their Cyber Monday sale. They're releasing new doorbusters every weekday, plus up to 50% off cutting-edge tech for your business. There's no better time to upgrade your small business with the latest laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors, plus there's free shipping on everything. Yes, everything. Give Dell Technologies advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business. Call 877-ASK-DELL or go to Dell.com/SP Cyber Monday. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Tuesday, December 1st. As Wisconsin reported lower than usual COVID-19 numbers Monday following testing site closures over the holiday weekend, a Madison high school announced one of its students died of a COVID-19 related illness. Cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are expected to spike in the days following Thanksgiving as asymptomatic carriers can spread the virus easily at indoor gatherings. Young people who partied with friends or otherwise gathered in recent weeks should not go home to family without wearing a mask, even indoors, White House Coronavirus Task Force Coordinator Deborah Bricks said Sunday. The Madison Symphony Orchestra announced Monday the cancellation of all events that were planned for February through May because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The orchestra had previously canceled all events through January. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy Tuesday to us all. Dominic, the certifications have happened and the lawsuits have begun. More lawsuits. The Trump campaign suing the state of Wisconsin, the governor, the elections commissioner, perhaps Bucky Badger. But my thought, and it was my initial thought immediately, the night Donald Trump came out on election night, I win, right?
Crazy.
It was quite crazy. And almost immediately, I'm like, what in the hell is motivating this man? Because he's not going to win. And in fact, by Wednesday, by the very following day, the elections desk here at the Devil's Advocates had already called the Electoral College for Joe Biden. We were one of the first. We were ahead of the Associated Press and many others. So we knew Joe Biden was the eventual winner. We were just, a little sooner than most. But Donald Trump, I thought, what's motivating this man to completely fabricate this, just make stuff up, just not even care about the reality. But my immediate thought went, oh, he's grifting.
Oh, that's right.
They're raising money.
Hustler. Yes.
Max Boot, formerly labeled a conservative columnist at the Washington Post, his headline, Trump is an expert in making money off losing. Now he's doing it again. The end of the coronavirus pandemic is in sight, but the last stage is turning out to be the most virulent. The same might be said of Trump's presidency. All 6 battleground states that President Trump was contesting have certified their election results. The results of the Electoral College vote on December 14th are a foregone conclusion. Even Attorney General William Barr says, to date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a differing outcome. But instead of graciously conceding, Trump and his cultists are becoming more venomous and unhinged as the end draws near. Trump's Twitter feed remains devoted to promoting outlandish conspiracy theories about how the election was supposedly stolen. He even retweeted a user named Cat Turd. No, that's you, right, Tom? Cat Turd? To make his case. His former lawyer, Sidney Powell, retweeted a demand that the president use the Insurrection Act, suspend the December electoral college vote, and set up military tribunals immediately.
And she was on Hannity last night.
One of his current lawyers, Joe DiGenova, says the former cybersecurity official Christopher Krebs, who was fired by Trump for rebutting his claims of fraud, should be drawn and quartered, taken out at dawn, and shot. I thought that was a little hyperbolic.
You think?
Dominic, the Trump revolution is now devouring its own children. The president is attacking supporters such as Governor Doug Ducey of Arizona and Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia because they will not toss out the election results in their states. Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, another loyal Republican, needs bodyguards because of all the death threats he and his family are getting. Even Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, both of whom disgraced themselves by demanding that Raffensperger resign, haven't gone far enough for some of the faithful they are being accused of being liberal demo rats. Liberal demo rats. Really, that doesn't even roll off the tongue. That one's hard to say. Republicans are worried that some of their voters will not turn out in the January 5th Georgia runoffs, which will determine the control of the U.S. Senate because they have been fed paranoid fantasies about ballot machines controlled by the ghost of Hugo Chavez. If so, it would serve the Republican Party right. This would be poetic justice for a party that has indulged its leaders' mad whims for so long. Here's a quote, Tom. If Republicans don't start condemning this stuff, then I think they're really complicit in it.
Yes.
Raffensperger told the Post, it's time to stand up and be counted. Are you going to stand for righteousness? Are you going to stand for integrity? Are you going to stand for the wild mob? I'm putting you down for the wild mob, Dom.
Mob rules, Rudy. Raffensperger's naivete is touching. Where has he been for the last 4 years? Most Republicans are too terrified of the mob that Trump has mobilized to challenge anything he does, even when he is mounting an unprecedented assault on the integrity of our electoral system. The good news is that Trump will soon leave office. The bad news is that he will never admit that he lost to Biden by more than 6 million votes, and neither will his millions of devoted followers. A new poll finds that less than a third of Trump voters express confidence in the election results. He will continue claiming until the day he dies that he is a victim of a vast conspiracy encompassing both Republican and Democratic officials, a plot so fiendishly effective that no evidence of its machinations can be found.
It's like a ninja plot.
Given that Trump cares nothing about the public weal, why should he ever admit defeat? Keeping the long con going not only offers a salve for his wounded ego, but also possible salvation for his debt-riddled balance sheet. Forbes reports that he owes at least $1 billion. Trump's political operation has raised more than $150 million since Election Day with fraudulent claims of fraud.
Say that again, Dom. It's been a month today, 1 month since Election Day. So in the last 28 days, Trump has raised how much money?
$150 million with fraudulent claims of fraud. I like that, Max Boot. The campaign wasted $3 million on a recount in Wisconsin, and expanded Biden's lead in the state by 87 votes. It might as well have used the donors' money to light Donald Trump Jr.'s cigars, and it still might. As my colleague Philip Bump notes, contributions to Trump's Political Actions Committee, Save America PAC, can be used to fund basically anything, including memberships at golf clubs, travel, rallies, even payments directly to Trump himself, as long as he declares it as income.
Which he won't.
I mean, $750 in taxes. You can't declare a whole lot of income. Trump claims to be an expert on winning. His actual area of expertise is how to profit from losing. He survived the bankruptcy of 6 of his businesses, and he will survive the moral bankruptcy of his presidency. He has now figured out how to monetize assaults on our democracy. He will keep going at least until 2024, and then either regain the Republican nomination for himself Ain't going to happen, Crudy.
Yes, it might.
Or hand it off to a favored sycophant. The new McLaughlin Newsmax poll of 2024 Republican primary without Trump has Donald Trump Jr. tied for the lead with Vice President Mike Pence at 20%. Ivanka Trump is at 4%. This isn't the Republican Party. It's the Trumpian Party, the Trumplican, my bad, the Trumplican Party. Support for the Supreme Leader trumps, so to speak, any devotion to democracy.
Max
Wow.
Boone, Washington Post. Dominic, it seems so
4%.
implausible that Trump would run again in 2024. He's already raised $150 million.
Well, yeah, man, if I could raise $150 million by just teasing about it, who say I wouldn't do that? But he's not going to do it. It's about making the money. It's about the grift. He'll never get in. It's not going to happen. But I look forward to
I'm
having
not saying
this
he's going to win the
conversation.
election.
He's not even going to be on the ballot.
But he's running.
He's not running.
He's already running.
He's not going to be on the ballot, man. That's the count. He's got to be on a ballot.
2-7-8-9.
I mean, come on. I could say I'm running. Does that mean I'm running?
Come
no,
on, man.
you got to be on a ballot.
Kanye West ran. Is that the only
Kanye West got on a
factor?
ballot somewhere, right?
Not in Wisconsin.
Well, he still got on a ballot. Donald Trump gets on one ballot in 2024. You will get your cherry pie.
You cherry pie welcher. Wisco Paul, welcome back. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paul.
Hi, good afternoon, Devils. I'll make this short today. The GOP is full of snowflakes and suckers. And I'm just
And don't forget whiny little bitches.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. I didn't know I could say that. I didn't want to get banned, but at the bottom line, it's our democracy, for goodness sakes. And these guys are chiming right in. The voter fraud is ridiculous. I mean, I don't even have the words for this guy anymore.
What about the elections commissioners, Paul? They didn't want Ann Jacobs to certify the vote. And the fact that they're out here vilifying her for doing her legal job, certifying the vote. Well, we wanted to say, well, what were you going to say precisely? Delay the vote, allow Donald Trump to sue what was a valid election that's already gone through a recount process. It already went through a recount. Paul, why 4 years ago weren't we hearing these same sort of accusations of massive voter fraud by Jill Stein? She had just as good a chance as Trump does in 2020.
Well, I don't understand. Trump has already did things I didn't think were even imaginable. In fact, when Biden gets in, I would just tell the GOP, go screw yourself. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do here. Executive orders. Crudy, I can't even understand what's going on here. I don't, even for the Republicans, I just can't help but think somewhere along the line this takes a toll on them because the vote, I don't know.
It's amazing though, but you understand, Paul, this is really about money and failing to tell the truth, failing to face the reality has been great for outfits like Newsmax and OAN or OANN. And in fact, yesterday we looked at the radio ratings in Milwaukee. Righty Whitey Talk Radio, the two major stations, one's pulling a 13 share, the other one's pulling a 7 share. They've got a combined 20 share from 6 a.m. to midnight with all listeners above 6 years of age, Paul, in the Milwaukee greater metro media market. 20%, a 20 share of all listeners are listening to right-wing talk radio from 6 a.m. to midnight every freaking day. And they're blowing up. I mean, these weren't the sort of ratings. I mean, we've seen ratings of like 6 from WISN. They're at a 13. And you know what they're selling? They're selling fantasy. They're selling fraud. They're the ones telling the story on behalf of the Trump campaign in the state of Wisconsin. And the, more down the middle righty whitey outfit, WTMJ, well, they're back in normal 7 share land. So I don't mean to confuse you with radio ratings, Paul, but what I'm telling you is there's a lot of money being invested in this false narrative. The Trumpsters so desperately want to believe that it was voter fraud or something. And they're giving money hand over fist to the Trump campaign, but also to the right-wing media outlets that are profiting on this fantasy.
The whole thing is a crazy train. For the love of God, don't any of these people read newspapers or anything? I mean,
They're counting on you not to read newspapers, Paul.
Oh, for the love of God. Well, maybe the Democrats can learn something. Hey, try to fire up some talk radio besides just one. I mean, come on, Democrats. Hey, and I got one.
I'd be happy if they supported the one that existed, Paul. But please continue, sir.
Well, thanks for the sir. What happened to John Nygren? And that's the end of me today. Thanks for taking my call.
Excellent question, Paul. There's some breaking news out of the state of Wisconsin. The Joint Finance, the Republican co-chair, John Nygren, of the daughter of, some drug use fame. But John is a very powerful man in the state of Wisconsin. John is the co-chair of the Joint Finance Committee. It was him and Alberta Darling for so many years, meaning they were the Republicans that most controlled the budgetary outcome. And John just got reelected a month ago. And today, according to the Marquette Screaming Eagle Marinette newspaper, something of that sort, which first reported Nygren resigning his position effective tomorrow. Apparently, there are greener pastures. There's more money to be made outside the Wisconsin state capitol. And John Nygren's running for the money, baby.
Really? You couldn't have done that? You didn't know this was an opportunity a month ago when you were running for election?
Well, Dominic, when your daughter is often in jail, it's hard to claim you're going to spend more time with family.
That's terrible.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Sometimes terrible because it's true. It hurts because it's true, right,
Yeah.
John Nygren? Get out of the public eye. Go cash some big dollar checks. I bet he'll get at least a double in pay going to some think tank funded by the Kochs. Maybe gonna go
the Bradley Foundation, man. Come on.
Now, doesn't Scotty Wanker's job finally kick in February of 2021? He's been
here.
gainfully unemployed since Election Day in 2018. Come back, more Devils. More of your phone calls as well. 844-967-2789.
This is a conspiracy. That's what this is.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a load of money.
Please, it's too much.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What do the signs say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch Max Inc. Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. And live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to maxincradio.com for the live music schedule. It's Max Inc. Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
If you believe we the people need an ongoing voice on the radio airwaves, there's never been a more important time to partner with us and support Devil Radio. Small businesses are suffering and our sponsors are already doing what they can. We need your help. This is your station. These are your airwaves, but they're not free. Please give if you're able at GoFundMe, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin, or click the support the station tab at devilradio927.com. Give now and I pledge you will never hear Christmas music on Devil Radio.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
I'm Alan Robinson, host of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I am from this city, and I am in these streets, speaking truth to power Monday through Friday about your issues. Join me from 6 to 7 p.m. on Devil Radio.
Talk radio made for the 99% on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
the Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looked so good.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open at 844-967-2789. Love this call, Bri.
Yeah, I said we're headbanging today a little bit. Pump it up.
Mob rules, right? A little Sabbath.
Our pal, Mark from the SAC. Welcome back, Mark. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys. Well, little Mr. Knutson, you've shown your fascist colors. That it seems that if Trump named himself dictator for life, you'd be on your knees, ready to, get in line to be filleting Donald Trump. I mean, it just is disgusting.
Yeah, it sounds disgusting.
When you put it like that, it certainly is.
I didn't need that visual, Mark.
And it just is ridiculous. These guys are so afraid of Donald Trump. They're willing to do virtually anything.
But Mark, what if they're not afraid of Donald Trump? What if they're all just in on the grift, man? They get a cut, they get a piece, they get something better, cash benefit, some.
What money's Dean Knutson getting by being a corrupted Wisconsin elections commission?
Oh man, you bank the favors, Mark. You don't got to get it immediately. One hand washes the other. They both wash your face. It doesn't got to happen right away.
And that's even worse. I mean, it gets to the point where I agree with I don't know if it was the Babylonians or the which ancient kingdom it was, where corrupt judges were flayed, and judges were the political officials of the day. And if they got caught, with their hand in the cookie jar, they were flayed alive, and their skins were used to cover the judicial bench is what they call
chairs.
it.
Quartered and flayed and
shot at dawn.
Mark, appreciate your call and your listenership. 844-967-2789. Damn, I've been
You're a great big fat person.
I've been promising I was gonna release the Kraken. Went to Charlie Sykes. The Bulwark. Mike Dunford writes, the Kraken lawsuit was released and it's way dumber than you realize. The Kraken! Every time you think you have a grasp on how preposterous the Trump team's election lawsuits are, another one comes out. Dumber and more conspiracy-filled than the last. The Pennsylvania monstrosity that was submitted by Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, and the Four Seasons total litigation supporting cast was terrible. It made, according to a federal appeals court ruling, vague and conclusionary allegations about alleged misconduct, tried to get the court to do things that would violate the U.S. Constitution and had, in the court's words, no merit. There's that saying again, Tom. Their case was such complete nonsense that 2 courts and 4 judges decided it was too dumb to fix. You want that to be the bottom? You want the lawsuit that the president's legal team lost twice for literally every reason it's possible to lose the case to be the most preposterous election lawsuit we're going to see this year. You go to bed Wednesday night hoping that it was, and you wake up disappointed Thursday morning because while you slept, Sidney Powell released the Kraken. Powell has been threatening to release the Kraken for the last week, which she spent practicing law on her own after being unpersoned by the Trump legal team following a press conference in which she spouted conspiracy theories so insane that even Giuliani's hair dye was trying to get out of the room. It wasn't clear that the Kraken, what the Kraken was until it was released, and we learned that it had taken the form of a matching his and her lawsuits in Georgia and Michigan, lawsuits that have redefined rock bottom. Well, I bet this article written before the Wisconsin lawsuit. You don't need to read far to see how truly awful these lawsuits are. Start with the simplest and most eye-catchingly obvious. Complaints in federal lawsuits have set formatting. At the top of the first page are the words in the United States District Court for the blank district of blank. It's a ritual formula. It's hard to mess up, and every lawyer I know who practices in the federal courts uses a fill-in-the-blank template. Every lawyer except Sidney Powell, I guess, because between the 2 filings, she managed to spell the word district 4 different ways. Betting 250 on accuracy. That's worse than us, Tom. We're like 60%. And things only got worse from there, much worse. The two lawsuits, which are very similar to each other, reiterate more or less the same meritless claims that just got Rudy et al. Unceremoniously tossed out of the Third Circuit. They seem to have been drafted by a spacebar phobic first year coming out of the back end of a meth bench. Consider this section of the legal background. And I'd love to do this for you, folks, but I don't want to torture you. I'm going to jump down a little bit. Or this compelling excerpt from the section titled Jurisdiction and Venue, all run together.
There's like no spaces in allow this.
The whole sentence. The jurisdiction of the court grant declaratory relief efforts by... There's no spaces between the words. It's just all one gobbledygook. And this is supposed to be the salvation, the kraken of all lawsuits. That kind of spacing problem recurs throughout. The document is practically unreadable. But as specious as the legal arguments are and as incomprehensible as the copy is, the craziest thing about the case is the substance. This complaint reads like it was drafted at the after party for a 3-day QAnon convention. And it might have been, given that one of Powell's most absurd witnesses is Ronald Watkins, who alongside his father runs the image board where Q drops his messages. The reason Watkins is part of this case is unclear. Powell is claiming him as an expert in Dominion voting software, but you would hope that she could find someone better. Like, I don't know, someone who has worked with it maybe. The basis of Watkins' alleged expertise is the fact that he claims to have read the manual, which is more than you've ever claimed, Dom. This may come as a surprise, but reading a software manual does not qualify you to testify as an expert witness in a federal courtroom.
I can attest to that for damn sure.
If you can believe this, Watkins isn't even the strangest witness. This award goes to mystery man Lord Tensei. Powell redacted this witness's name from all filings, including those sent to the defendants. The mystery witness proclaims that it wants to let the world know the truth about corruption, manipulation, and the lies being committed by a conspiracy of people and companies that began more than a decade ago in Venezuela and have spread to countries all over the world. Our mystery witness, whom the declaration assures is an adult of sound mind, claims to have gathered the information about this conspiracy while serving on long-dead Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez's security detail. We don't know this person's name, but they tell us that if we doubt the veracity of the claims, we only have to, see for yourself. If one questions the reliability of my observations, they only have to read the words of redacted. So the mystery witness also has a mystery corroborator. And it goes on and on like this, Dom. The Kraken. Oh, they're smoking some Kraken, I think, over there on the Trump legal team. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates, the 2:00 Tuesday hour. It feels so good, but we're coming back. 3:00 is next. Hour 2, more Devils after this short break.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. Release the Kraken! And totally redeem yourself!
Over the years, we have done our best to bring you the highest quality products our industry has to offer. And we are very excited to bring you a new location just east of the Capitol at 951 Williamson Street. Now with 3 locations, there's an Ignite Glass and Gifts near you, no matter which side of town you're on. Madison's favorite for glass gifts and vape. Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. Let's torch some glass at Ignite.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Thom Hartmann program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Trump has yet to say he lost.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
Today, President Trump's Attorney General Bill Barr told the AP the Justice Department has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud and has seen nothing that would change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. This was the reaction from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
In response to Attorney General Bill Barr, I guess he's the next one to be fired, since he now, too, says there's no fraud. Trump seems to fire anyone in that regard.
Barr says FBI agents have been working diligently to follow up on specific complaints and information they've received, but found nothing. President Trump called on the director of the Food and Drug Administration to the White House today to ask about the speed of the process to approve a coronavirus vaccine. In Wilmington, Delaware, President-elect Joe Biden introduced his economic team. The nominee for Treasury Secretary is former Fed Chair Janet Yellen.
Janet is one of the most important economic thinkers of our time. She has spent her career focused on employment and the dignity of work.
Biden says for people hurting economically because of the virus, help is on the way. In the Senate, West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin says they're working on a new economic relief bill.
We're battling COVID-19 more fiercely now than we ever have before. We recognize that. It's inexcusable for us to leave town and not have an agreement that we can come together and not show that we can work the way the Senate and the way that Congress was intended to work in a bipartisan way.
Nearly 37,000 Americans died of the coronavirus in November, the most in any month since the dark early days of the pandemic. Attorney General William Barr has given extra protection to the prosecutor he appointed to investigate the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation, giving him the authority of a special counsel to allow him to complete his work without easily being fired. This is AP News.
Dell Technologies has announced their Cyber Monday sale. They're releasing new doorbusters every weekday, plus up to 50% off cutting-edge tech for your business. There's no better time to upgrade your small business with the latest laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors, plus there's free shipping on everything. Yes, everything. Give Dell Technologies advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business. Call 877-ASK-DELL or go to Dell.com/SP Cyber Monday. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast, just two buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say? Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What do the signs say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MagSync Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. And live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MagSyncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MagSync Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
At Chad's Design Build, we have always been uncompromising about creating a safe and healthy home during your renovation and after. As we pause to allow our community to confront this crisis, we remain vigilant and determined to find a safe way to resume the essential work of maintaining and improving homes in our community. With love for each other, we'll find a way to carry on. We wish you all good health, strength, and wisdom. On behalf of the entire team at Chad's Design Build, this is Chad Spade.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Tuesday, December 1st. A lawsuit over whether the state can release data on businesses in Wisconsin tied to the COVID-19 outbreaks will proceed after a judge on Monday denied motions from the state and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel to dismiss the case. The state's largest business lobby, Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, sued to stop the release of data in October, arguing that businesses could suffer irreparable harm. Republican State Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Democratic U.S. Representative Mark Pocan appear together in a new ad by Wisconsin's Stop the COVID Spread Coalition, a group of more than 125 of the state's healthcare, business, and advocacy organizations. Forecast of sunny skies with cool temperatures throughout the day. High today of 38 degrees, low of 23 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Giving Tuesday edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we got a fine guest a little bit later in this hour. Our pal, Judge Chris Taylor, Dane County Circuit Branch 12, just announced she is running for re-election. An appointment of the Evers administration. I'm not sure what to call her. Can I call her Chris, or is it Honorable Judge Taylor to you? We'll find out. We'll see what, how you walk that fine line with a friend that you may have to go and plead.
Friends are friends, man. First name basis. Come on now.
Yeah, but what if I
don't call me Maestro?
No, but I've never had to go plead for my innocence before you, Dom.
Guilty as charged.
Got an article sent over to me by my wife, and she doesn't often share, so I'm going to share this one with our fair audience. From the New York Times, David Linenhart. Good morning. It's Giving Tuesday, and we have a few ideas related to the news. And then the subheadline, a cornerstone of democracy collapsing. In the early internet's early days, it seemed to have the potential to crush traditional print media, but its impact has turned out to be more nuanced. The internet has instead been a boon for some publications with a national audience. The New York Times has never had as many subscribers or readers or employed as many journalists as it does today. The Atlantic, the Washington Post, and some others are also thriving. It's at the local level that the digital revolution has been as destructive as feared. Hundreds of local news organizations have folded as their advertising revenue disappears, and the pandemic is exacerbating the crisis. At least 60 local newsrooms have closed since March, according to Pointer. Some of them were more than a century old, like the Eureka Sentinel in Nevada, the Mineral Wells Index in Texas, the Moorhead News in Kentucky. This isn't a story of creative destruction in which nimble new entrants replace older companies. Often, nothing replaces a shuttered newsroom, leaving communities without any independent information about local government, schools, and business. And then an inset here in parentheticals, a recent Times investigation found that some partisan groups have been posing as local publishers trying to pass off political propaganda as news. You see the MacIver Institute, see Right Wisconsin. They've been doing that here in the state of Wisconsin for years. I read, pardon. There are consequences for society. When a community's newspaper closes, voter turnout and cross-party voting tends to decline. While the political corruption and government waste rise, academic research has found a democracy struggles to function when its citizens can't stay informed. But we have solutions, Tom. Everyone, they tell us all we bring them is problems, never solutions. Here's solutions. What can be done? Eventually, savvy entrepreneurs may figure out how to make local news profitable, but several have tried in recent years without success. For the foreseeable future, the only reliable answer seems to involve philanthropy. Philanthropy. Thank you. Yeah, I had to think about that one. I'm so philanthropic, Tom.
It's Giving Tuesday.
Americans have long accepted that the arts, higher education, and organized religion all depend on charitable giving. Local journalism is now in the same category. We need philanthropists across the country to embrace robust local journalism. Robust local journalism. Let me say it again, more robustly. Sarah Beth Berman, the executive of the American Journalism Project, which funds local news sites, told me, if you care about education, you need to worry if school boards and charter boards are covered. And if you care about the environment, you should make sure reporters like Ken Ward Jr. are covering coal country in West Virginia. There are many other shining examples of new nonprofit journalism, but even more communities receive little to no high-quality coverage. I decided to write about this topic this morning because today is Giving Tuesday, when people take a break from online shopping to focus on charitable giving. If you're worried about the state of local news, you can donate on, he labels the site, we'll post this article, which matches donations to local publications, or give to your local public radio affiliate. If you have different ideas, try my colleague Nicholas Christoph's more global suggestions. So anyways, they give you some other suggestions. Here's the point. I'm going to digress for just a moment. Ajak Pai, remember that guy, the FCC
chair? Yeah, we saw him with Rojo in Milwaukee.
We met him, and I met him immediately after closing on our very first radio station back in the summer of 2017. I was the newest media owner in the room. And what was my pleading to Ajak Pai? Do you remember? I asked him a question. Rojo even flagged me down. It was beyond the question and answer period. And to his credit, Ron pointed at me, and I got one more post-press conference question.
Usually you shut them down. What was the question, Crudy?
My question is, what about net neutrality? What are you doing about net neutrality? And he said, well, we're still in the public comment period and da-da-da-da-da. And he deflected and he spun. And Ajak Pai effectively didn't admit that his job was to, throw away net neutrality. And what that does is it allows the biggest operators to throttle out some of their competition. Well, in reality, what's going on in this world right now is lots of local newsrooms, lots of local news outlets are closing down, are shutting down, are shuttering the doors. I look at the Isthmus. Hopefully they'll be back to publication soon. I think the Shepherd Express in Milwaukee has begun creeping back into actual physical publication, not just as an online. And I would point out, we used to be a much broader network. Now, Madison, Columbus, we do what we can. Ajak Pai did some good things for the industry. Why I bring this up today, Ajak Pai is stepping down as the FCC director effectively the day Joe Biden becomes the president. Pai is stepping down. And Pai did a lot of bad things, but he did some good things too. He did some good things for radio. Things like allowing FM translators. And we have been in the eternal pursuit of better. We want a better signal. We want better for you, our fair audience. And I've invested a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of efforts in trying to make that happen because I think it's important. But what happens in the middle of a pandemic when so many of our local sponsors, and they've been great to us, and I'm not complaining about the sponsors. They've been wonderful, but they can only do so much. And so many of them are struggling right now in the current pandemic circumstance as well. So we've tried some things. We've paid it forward. We've given up $75,000 worth of advertising grants as a station. We've tried to help our community out. We've tried to help our neighbors out. But when a pandemic strikes, you got to keep broadcasting. That's our job. That's part of our obligation to the FCC. We got to do our part. And we've got to do it not once, but twice. And then also a stream. So we've got 3 different signals going out effectively all day, every day. And every day there can be little setbacks in life and the radio industry. Brian and I joked earlier today, Fancy Brian and I joked, it's always worse than you think it's going to be. Whatever, it's like the Trump administration. No matter what comes at you, it's always just a little worse than you predicted. So anyways, I've got a fine article I'm going to share in the next segment. We've got a fine judge coming soon, Chris Taylor. But on this Giving Tuesday, please consider giving to what we're trying to endeavor to do here, which is give you information, give you the unvarnished truth and some opinion. And we've got some new products. We just rolled Earl back out. We've got Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. We've got Matt Flynn going on in the mornings. We've got the Devil's Advocates 2 to 5. That means each weekday, we got 7 hours of local broadcast going on here. And these are the FCC regulated airwaves. They're free airwaves, but they're not free to broadcast on. It costs a lot of money just to turn on a radio station each and every day. And then you got to do it 2-3 times, even if you have the good fortune of catching an FM station through an FCC auction, which to Pi's credit happened. So please consider giving some money if you're able to keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin. We're at the GoFundMe page. And Dom and I, we're going to have some big news coming up in the new year. We're trying to expand what it is. We're trying to do so outside of this market. We're trying to help grow progressive radio outside of Wisconsin because everywhere needs something like this. So our little product, we're growing as well. And Dom, you've mentioned we've got a Patreon. That's for Dom and I. That's for the Devil's Advocates. We, the product, the job that we love doing each and every day, we'd love to continue doing that. And we'd love to get paid someday. Fairly. Enough to pay the bills at least. But above and beyond this, keeping the station on the air and vibrant and thriving in the midst of a pandemic can't all fall upon the shoulders of these small businesses here in the city of Madison. I mean, we're trying. We're knocking on doors. Lots of people would love to help. And we've got some sales for them. We're going to do lots of stuff for our sponsors in 2021. But we need your help, and we'd appreciate your help. And on this Giving Tuesday, please consider giving to us because we'll continue delivering the news. And maybe you're doing a little better than your neighbor and you can afford to give a few bucks, but we're informing you and your neighbor and the people in Madison and the people in Columbia County and Dodge County and Jefferson County, and we're going to get the word out. And pretty soon there's going to be a special election in the 13th, Scotty Fitzgerald's former district. And we're going to play a big part in that race, or at least we'd like to. And each and every day, 7 hours of local radio. All your favorite hosts, Matt Flynn, Devil's Advocates, Earl Ingram, Al Robinson. You look around. See who's trying this hard in a pandemic. I got nothing else to give here. We're busting our asses. I can't do a 4-hour show. We thought about it's too much. So your help would greatly be appreciated. It is a Giving Tuesday, and we love it when you give us hell. Give us a call at 844-967-2789. Our pal Chris Taylor coming very soon. Your calls could be next. And more fine headlines. I got one from Karen McKim I want to share with the audience. When we come back, more Devil's Advocates.
Baby, you are so money and you don't even know it. This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Hey, Dom, is your carpeting starting to have a little bit of a funk to it?
That's a bit of a personal question, Rudy.
No, I know this is a really busy time for one of our sponsors, Zero Res of Madison. People want a cleaner, healthier home.
You mean spending the entire quarantine locked in with bacteria and allergens isn't healthy? Who knew?
You want to get it professionally cleaned well before it gets funky. Even if you vacuum frequently,
I vacuum a lot.
You still need to get it professionally cleaned. Schedule your carpet cleaning online at zeroresmadison.com. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Senator Ron Johnson talking about staying out of bars. How does that pair with your thought that schools should reopen in the fall? You got a room full of school students or a room full of bar patrons. What's the difference?
Because schools, students, it's rare, very rare to have them have a very serious medical effect from COVID.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
You shouldn't have older school teachers or school teachers with some of the comorbidities.
Here's how you get them. If they bring a beer, you bring an old-fashioned. If they bring cheese curds, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way. That's Devil Radio.
Cause you can, and you don't stop. Cause you can,
60% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open at 844-967-2789. Judge Chris Taylor going to join us at the bottom of the hour.
Dominic, I promised callers, if they called, we'd take them. Let's go to Linda in Milwaukee. Linda, welcome. What do you got for us?
Well, hi, Dom and Krutz. Hey, listen, I'll make this really quick. Where do I send you a check for $100? That's about all I can afford to pay, but I'm a check writer. So can you guys give me an address that I can send that to?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, I'm going to put you on hold, Linda, and my pal, Brian Kelly, is going to give you the address just so we don't drag it out for the entire audience. But our mothership now is located here on the west side of Madison, so we'll give you a Madison address for the radio station here, Linda.
Okay, great. Love your show. Love listening to you guys every day. You're wonderful.
Well, Linda,
thank you, Linda.
You're a very generous person. We appreciate the offer. Fancy Brian, Linda's on hold. He's looking it up. It's on the website, Linda, but he's going to give it to you and make it easy for you. Thank you so much for your consideration. Dominic, I mentioned there is an article, and I'm looking for it momentarily, so bear with me while I scramble a couple thoughts. I know where it's at. Was sent to me by a friend of ours, and it's written by a friend of ours, her name Karen McKim, Wisconsin Election Integrity. And Karen makes, I don't want to say let me read, and you make your own.
All right, there we
form
go.
your own opinions. I'm writing this Monday morning, November 30th. This afternoon, the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission determined the results of the presidential race, and news media around the nation declared it's all over in Wisconsin. They say Biden will get our 10 electoral votes, and then they move on to other news. Only a few reporters within the state are paying close enough attention to know that it's not over. Even fewer, none, have told their readers and listeners there is a significant possibility that Trump will get Wisconsin's electoral votes. Like hell, you say, Karen McKim. I read on. No, I'm not dumb or partisan or under the spell of some conspiracy theory. I know that when I say one thing and the media says something else, you're not going to believe me. So let me walk you through a few facts, which you can check yourself if you want to. The determination today by the commission chair does not finally decide who gets Wisconsin's electoral votes. In fact, the determination is a trigger for filing a lawsuit to challenge the results in court. She seems quite prescient in that regard. Dom, she wrote this yesterday. The lawsuit dropped today. If anyone wants to, before Ann Jacobs signed the paper, there was nothing to appeal. Now there is, and someone does want to appeal. Trump will file a lawsuit tomorrow. That's today. He did, seeking to disqualify enough ballots to reverse the outcome. His tweet was clear. The case will be brought after the recount is over on Monday or Tuesday. She writes, I don't think you'll disagree with me when I predict the case will move quickly to the Wisconsin Supreme Court and be decided there. We already know the issues that will be raised in that lawsuit. As Trump tweeted, the Wisconsin recount is not about finding mistakes in the court, in the count. And that is true. His recount observers were not instructed to argue with the tabulation. They were instead instructed to watch for ballots that they could challenge. They found around 238,000 of them. Trump's lawyer said those ballots were illegally cast and told the county boards of canvass who conducted the recount not to count them. The county boards of canvass said, no, they're fine, and counted them. That is the dispute the state Supreme Court will resolve when it decides who gets Wisconsin electoral votes. Trump's Wisconsin lawsuit, and she writes in bold, will not be like those filed in other states. There will be evidence, the disputed ballots, and he will not be challenging them based on vague accusations of outlandish theories. He will cite specific state laws, and he will argue they have been violated. I haven't seen the case he will file in the court tomorrow, but based on the petition he filed to get the recount, we know there will be 3 big issues. State law requires voters to request their absentee ballots in writing, but voters who went to early in-person voting sites were allowed to request their ballots orally. The counties cannot argue that those voters submitted written applications before they received their ballots. They didn't. Everyone knows they didn't. The counties don't have any written applications for those ballots, and they cannot say the law does not require a written application. It obviously does. Wisconsin voter activity records enabled Trump's legal team to compile very specific evidence, not just for a number of voters who voted this way, but a list of their names. Instead, counties are likely to defend the ballots in court by saying that the absentee envelope the voters signed after they received their ballots should be considered to be the application, a defense put forth by Megan Wolf, administrator of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. The counties are also likely to say that the Republicans' complaints come too late, that if they had a problem with these voting procedures, they should not have waited until after the election, and that even if that sort of voting is illegal, throwing the ballots out is the wrong remedy, because all of those voters were just doing what election officials told them they could. I know what I think about those arguments, and you likely know what you think. But the only ones that matter are the Wisconsin Supreme Courts. And state law required clerks to return incomplete absentee ballot envelopes to the voters, but in both Dane and Milwaukee counties, election staff made a habit of adding is it Monday? I got a Monday mouth and it's a Tuesday. Election staff made a habit of adding missing witness addresses to the absentee ballots that were missing that information. Typically, they used a different color ink or initialed their additions to show that it was they, not the voters, who completed that section of the absentee ballot. Kara McKim goes on to write, so it was easy for the Trump recount observers to pick those ballots out and challenge them. To defend these ballots, election officials can make the same arguments as with the written application issues. The Republicans should have objected before the election, etc. However, election officials have a better defense. In 2016, they sought to go to the Attorney General's opinion and practice, and he said it was okay. But real evidence, real challenges, real state law that could be all the Wisconsin Supreme Court conservatives need to overturn your will, Wisconsin. Come back with us. A fine guest, Judge Chris Taylor.
Stop whining.
Don't talk to me that way. You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
I'm Stephanie Hoff, your host, and this podcast is brought to you by Spectrum. President Trump's lawsuit challenging Wisconsin's results seek to throw out some 220,000 votes. Now the campaign contends those votes were illegally cast in heavily Democratic Dane and Milwaukee counties. Pat Buddy is on the line with me today for more on the suit, which comes on the heels of Governor Tony Evers certifying Joe Biden as the winner of Wisconsin's presidential election.
Yeah, that's right, Stephanie. Now, he signed a certificate of ascertainment certifying Biden as the winner of the presidential election last night. And that came after the State Elections Commission chair, Ann Jacobs, who is a Democrat, yesterday afternoon signed off on the results of the county canvasses as well as the recounts in Dane and Milwaukee counties, which was something we talked a little bit about yesterday on this podcast, but hadn't quite happened yet. Now, to give a little bit more detail here, essentially what happened, according to an Elections Commission spokesman, is after Jacobs signed off on the county canvasses and the recounts, the agency then sent a signed canvas determination and an unsigned draft of an ascertainment document to the Gov. Evers in turn announced later in the evening that he had signed that certificate.
But the Trump campaign's lawsuit will track challenges that the campaign raised during the recount process. Can you talk more about that?
Sure, and just to start off here, even though Evers has signed the certificate certifying Biden as the winner, the determination process that Jacobs underwent yesterday opened a 5-day window for the Trump campaign to launch an appeal, and according to the state's top election official, the court system has the power to modify both the canvas determination and the statement of ascertainment through the appeal process. So as to what specifically they're appealing here, a lot of this stuff, as we talked about yesterday, Stephanie, really stems from the recount itself. Now, we talked a little bit about how the Trump campaign strategy for the recount wasn't necessarily to pick up or gain votes, but rather to identify this universe of ballots that it's seeking to throw out. The number we got on that is going to be right around 220,000. So the suit that was filed earlier this morning includes the campaign's contention that those who voted early and in person had to file a separate written request for a ballot. The envelopes that those voters received when voting in person included an affidavit that they were requesting an absentee ballot, but the campaign is going to allege that that isn't sufficient. The suit's also going to challenge absentee ballots if a clerk cured them, which is in election parlance added missing information to the return envelope, like the witness's zip code, as well as votes cast by those who claimed they were indefinitely confined. Essentially, the suit's going to allege here that local clerks didn't do their due diligence to remove voters who fraudulently claimed that status. And then lastly, votes that were returned in Madison as part of its Democracy in the Park events. Now, city clerks stationed poll workers in Madison's parks to collect absentee ballots, and the suit's going to contend that that was illegal. Now, Biden's final winning margin, just to point this out, after the recounts was 20,682 votes. Also, probably worth noting here, Stephanie, Dems have countered all of the points that are being made in this suit before, and the Elections Commission actually has backed up that each aspect of this lawsuit was in fact handled properly by election officials.
Well, thanks, Pat, for breaking this down for us today. And you can check out today's WISPolitics.com PM update for more on the Trump campaign's lawsuit. Until tomorrow, I'm Stephanie Hoff. Thanks for tuning in.
This has been WIS Politics Midday. For more state government and political news, visit wispolitics.com.
Quit surfing the dial. You already found the greatest radio station ever, Devil Radio, on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Croots are the devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It is a political party up in here. And Dom, we've been joined live via phone by a friend of ours, Judge Chris Taylor, Dane County Circuit Court, Branch 12. Welcome back, Chris Taylor.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. How are you all?
Good, Chris. Thank you.
Is it appropriate to call you Chris, or do I have to call you the Honorable Judge Taylor? What do you prefer?
Please. You can, Chris. That's good.
Okay, good. Rudy, you can leave your hat on too. No one wants to see that.
Oh, I won't comment on that, but you can just call me Chris.
Chris, Thanks, Chris. I hope I never find myself before your bench.
No, you would actually. It's not too painful. I don't think. I hope not.
Well, I've been on the defendant side before, Chris, and I'll avoid that if I can.
I have to tell you, I was looking through some of my files yesterday, and what did I come across? But the Judge Markson's decision in your case.
State v.
Just
Crute?
a couple days ago. Yeah. I thought it was a very, very thoughtful decision.
Well, it's precedent setting with the appellate
Yeah.
upholding of that, the 3-0 en banc ruling. Chris, I'm in the law books.
I know you're already, you're precedent. You're precedential, of course.
Don't tell them that.
Chris, want to ask you about a lawsuit, and I realize you're not here to give legal opinions per se, but what do you think about the merits of this lawsuit filed by Trump in the recount of Dane and Milwaukee counties? They're seeking to throw out like 228,000 votes for various reasons, Chris. And I'm a little nervous that there is some state law that might give justification to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. They don't need much. Chris, what do you think about Trump's post-recount lawsuit?
Yeah, well, there's been so many going around. I do believe, and I've witnessed this firsthand, and it's very encouraging that we really do have a very strong judiciary in the state of Wisconsin. And, I see this every day, certainly at the trial court level. I watch how my colleagues are so diligent in applying the law fairly and making sure we are an independent branch. So I've been really heartened to see courts handling of these lawsuits around the country. Honestly, I think courts have been very deliberative. They've done what they need to do. They've been independent and they've looked at the merits, and that's what I expect to happen. So I do expect that. I think that what has been reinforced for me again and again is the importance of courts not being politically aligned with any party, the importance of independence. And I think we've seen that, and I hope that we see that in our state Supreme Court.
But Judge Taylor, we don't always see judicial independence from this conservative aligned Wisconsin Supreme Court. I've often questioned
that's very true.
I've questioned some of the partisan rulings, especially in the pandemic, the safer at home orders, the fact that people had to go out and vote in a pandemic, Chris. I've questioned, let's say the pre-Karofsky court. Maybe it's different now. We'll see. But Chris, there will be evidence in this trial. Citizen Kara McKim wrote a very thoughtful op-ed piece, and she talks about the evidence. And that's what's different about the Wisconsin case, is they're actually going to have votes that they sought to have discounted. And those votes will act as evidence in this trial, Chris, and they may have some merits to go on, unlike in some of these other frivolous suits in other states.
Well, look, the composition of the state Supreme Court has changed very significantly. I know that firsthand because I took over the branch that Justice Karofsky had on the trial court, and now she's on the state Supreme Court. So I do think that they will look at the evidence. I know it has not always seemed, it has not always seemed like it isn't divorced from politics, which is really, really unfortunate. But I think that they will look at what's before them. These cases typically, because there is evidence, in my opinion, they should go first to the trial court, where you can have an opportunity to really suss out the evidence. Unfortunately, a lot of these cases are going right to the state Supreme Court without having that trial court review, where the evidence and the facts are usually flushed out. And so I do think it's kind of unfortunate these cases are going right to the state Supreme Court, but I do think that, we have some very thoughtful justices on that court, and they're going to look very closely at the evidence. And I think that, they'll weigh the evidence and hopefully come up with something that really respects the will of the people in that state.
Folks are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Judge Chris Taylor, she's a judge at Dane County Circuit Court Branch number 12, running for re-election. We'll get there, Chris, and appreciate you joining us once again. It has been too long. I wanted to get your sense on the U.S. Supreme Court. Amy Coney Barrett, recently appointed, certainly different circumstances than were afforded Merrick Garland. But I did see in the news reporting yesterday, NBC saying a case coming forward. Gay parents shouldn't both be on child's birth certificates, Indiana Attorney General argues. And I guess my overall question, notwithstanding this specific case, is what kind of an impact do you think this new justice is going to have on LGBTQ rights and a women's right to choose, and all these issues that many progressives have taken to heart and backed up over the years. How do you think this court will address those issues?
Well, unfortunately, we lost a great champion for equality and civil rights and human rights in Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think what we've seen just with the recent Supreme Court case that came out on the COVID issue, that we have a very different U.S. Supreme Court than what we had. And I'm worried about it, frankly. I'm very worried that equality and fairness is perhaps in danger, particularly the rights of LGBTQ individuals. So I'm very concerned about it. I think that we have seen a real shift. I mean, I'm not saying anything you haven't read, but I think it's anticipated that this court has shifted to the right, and without that incredible voice and leadership of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, it is very worrisome what's going to happen to these fairness principles and basic equality for people. So it's concerning. It's very worrisome.
And Kristen, when you steer it back home and talk about this current case that the Trump campaign has put forth for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, I did see some reporting. Apparently, Tony Evers has a short time to respond to that, so presumably they will make a decision quickly. But if there is some merit to this particular case, they pull out these 200,000 ballots. Perhaps one of them is mine, early person in voting. I signed the envelope. Apparently, this administration, or at least this campaign, is saying that they don't consider that to be a written application. But no matter what, if this was done, if these actions that they're being challenged currently were done in previous elections dating back years, how does a judge or the Supreme Court look at that? Well, this is the way it was done, and maybe it was pushing the limits back then, but it's essentially precedent. That's what they've been doing. It's been approved, and they continue to do it. And Trump won with that process last time, didn't win with it this time. Now it's a problem, and not only is it just a problem, Chris, it's a problem in 2 counties, not in 72 counties.
Right. What I think we all deserve, the people of the state deserve, is to have their votes counted. Those votes that are now being challenged, it looks to me like they were done in the way they have been done in the past. I don't know the merits, however, of this lawsuit. I have not looked at it closely.
Sure.
And I don't want to comment on that. But it does seem like the way that these ballots were cast, it was in a way that had been accepted, that we had been casting ballots. So in that sense, it's something that we've been doing for a while. I think that, the will of the people in the state spoke, and we had a recount, and Biden picked up some votes, and that was the will of the people. And so I hope that it is respected.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a friend in a fine judge, Chris Taylor from Dane County Circuit Court, Branch 12, joining us live via phone. Chris, appreciate you doing so. Let me ask you about some of these pandemic-related lawsuits in the state of Wisconsin. And fortunately, I don't think any of them are going to hit your docket because they keep jumping over the district court level. But Chris, what do you think about these actions to overturn the governor's safer at home orders and mask mandates? If not during a public health crisis, when should the governor or any executive have power to make these sort of rules, Chris? It seems quite counterintuitive. I understand even if the legal theories are there, why would the Republicans continue to sue during a pandemic?
Well, this is what I can comment on. I don't want to comment on any case that could come before me. I can comment, though, on the order that was issued back in I think it was May now, and the order that did overturn the safer at home order, the governor's order. And it was a very shocking decision, I have to say, in a lot of ways, because the majority basically ignored the plain words of a statute. And I think improper and applied improper rules of statutory construction to that. The plain meaning of the statute gives the Department of Health Services, the secretary, the authority to issue rules and orders not just rules, but orders. And those orders are very, very expansive. And so I, thought it was a real stretch to come up with the interpretation that the majority at that point in the state Supreme Court came up with. But, you would think when you look at these statutes, and we're no different than so many other states, it is very typical to give governors, the executive, the authority to act in crises, in public health emergencies. And so it seems that the interpretation that we're seeing is there is no authority ever, or at least in the current statutes, there are no authority. I don't think that's what our current statutes say, however, but that's how they, at least when it pertains to the Department of Health Services, that's how it's been interpreted. And so this governor's hands, I think, have been really tied, unfortunately.
Chris Taylor, for those that haven't had the good fortune of playing the role of defendant in a court of law, what do you do at work every day?
That is a very good question. Well, a lot of days I have hearings back after back after back. I'm taking pleas. I'm in the criminal rotation. And so I have all kinds of hearings on modifying bond, on taking pleas, on sentencing. I have a motion hearing tomorrow on an evidentiary issue. So it's a lot of hearings and a lot of studying. I will say my nose is in a statute book or looking at case law quite a bit, but I really love that. You're trying to interpret and trying to learn the law and then apply it in a way that is fair to people who are before you. And so it's a lot of hearings and a lot of, right now, legal research.
Now, Chris Taylor,
at the law, studying the law.
Sorry to interrupt, Chris. You have announced you are running for re-election in Dane County Circuit Court Branch 12.
Election.
For election, because you were appointed prior by the Evers administration.
That's right.
I'll try not to hold that against you. Why do you want to run for re-election, Chris Taylor? And why are you the best candidate?
Okay, fair enough. And it feels good to be a candidate again. I have to tell you, this is a familiar terrain. This is what I know is running for office. I am running. There were 5 appointments, and what the statutes say in the state is you're up once you're appointed. You're up that next spring in the next spring election. And so there's lots of us who are appointed. In fact, there's going to be 8 Dane County Circuit Court judges on the ballot in the February primary and the April general, because we have 5 new appointees who are all up for re-election. So this is what happens when you're appointed. You have to run for re-election. And I'm running for re-election because I feel like the judiciary is really the place that I should be. It's a place where I do feel like you can make a big difference. You don't have these political struggles weighing you down. You actually can, look at people's situation, be in a neutral environment, which I love, where you have rules of evidence and facts make a difference and reason makes a difference. And so I love being in that forum. I think it's a place you really can do a lot of good.
Chris, got to cut you short. Thank you so much, Judge Chris Taylor. Now, if I'm ever in her courtroom as a defendant, I'm in trouble for sureties.
Hey folks, Patrick here from Pegasus Games, here to remind you that we're open for all your at-home gaming needs, both online at pegasusgames.com or in-store from noon to 6, with extended hours on Saturday and Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon for high-risk customers. From our new line of puzzles to pass the time, to the perfect board game to reconnect with family and friends. Walk-ins welcome or curbside pickup available over the phone or online at pegasusgames.com. Pegasus Games, home to games you never outgrow.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
My life's mission was to defeat Donald Trump and turn Wisconsin blue. Mission accomplished, but the battle has only just begun. Devil Radio and WTTN 1580 AM have continued broadcasting the truth, persevering through the pandemic, supporting public health professionals, and turning out the vote in Madison and Dane County in record numbers. Can you help us survive and thrive for the battles to come? Please consider giving a contribution at GoFundMe, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin. Every dollar helps us continue and makes us stronger.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Five Nines, your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
A progressive voice in rural Wisconsin, WTTN 1580 AM is South Central Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us right now at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one, Judge Chris Taylor, Dane County Circuit Court Branch 12. And she announced her re-election campaign today. And if you'd like to find her or more information about her, maybe help her out, give her a few bucks, it's at chrisforjustice.com, chrisforjustice.com. I know she's running for judge. It's chrisforjustice.com. Chris Taylor, our good friend, and a couple of reminiscence. The day that I was arrested, Dom, and she pointed out, State v. Crute. I was a vindicated defendant in the state of Wisconsin. It was a glorious victory over the man that was the fascist, Scott Winker, who had us all arrested. Hundreds of us, Tom. You were arrested. I was arrested. Many in our audience were arrested.
But you were arrested for that vile act of singing in a public place.
But what was I there to do that day? You were late showing up at the state capitol. I was at a Chris Taylor-led press conference. Money out, people into politics, something of that effect, and then, got arrested. And the very next day, who do I find myself standing next to in the Capitol?
Hey, you Devil's Advocates here, man. All right.
Well, not you, because you were wearing like 100 press credentials because someone had questioned the veracity of your journalisticness.
I mean, come on. I was like the Mr. T of press credentials. I had lots of them. You couldn't say that I was not a member of the press. I even wore one of those little hats
that said press
with a card in it that said press, man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, see, let me get a statement. See, yeah.
Like Greg Palast, man. If you got the hat, you're definitely a journalist.
Well, you were off chasing down state capitol police officers. Do I look like a journalist today?
How about now, man?
And I was hanging out in the rotunda of the People's House, the Wisconsin state capitol, and they were arresting probably about 25 people that day. I believe it was July 24th of 2013. We were initially arrested the day prior, I think. Maybe it was the 24th and this was the 25th. But Chris Taylor was a little anxious. As an elected state lawmaker, she was in the Capitol Rotunda and she was singing in violation of the Emergency Administrative Code, at least according to, David Meathead Davis and so many of the Capitol police officers. And let's not forget, Scotty Winker was a fascist, and we were vindicated. We're 3-0, Dom.
Well done, Michael. Oh, and Chris
well
Taylor.
Done, Dominic.
And this is, someone who we greatly respect and is a friend of ours, and it's been great to, see her and know her over the years. But to see, know someone like her, like it has with that kind of background, to be nervous, I mean, it really, and I know we joke about it a lot and we rip on Scott Walker, and it's justified, but there were some tense times going on in the Capitol. And the fact that, the Republicans would stand up and allow a guy like Scott Walker to just start arresting because they made up some new rule because they didn't like the protests. I mean, Wisconsin has been a precursor to this country with Republicans, with policy, with coordination, with advocacy groups, with the political parties. I mean, we have been what the rest of the country has become, and it was some stressful and scary and very fascist BS times, and we are absolutely vindicated. Hell, I didn't even do anything, and I got arrested.
Surprised we weren't charged with sedition or insurrection.
Hey, the day is young.
844-967-2789. Something to look forward to in the next hour, perhaps. Not just Jay Hack, Executive Director of Common Cause of Wisconsin. Dom and Crute could get our asses hauled off the radio for insurrection.
Well, if you listen
Who's coming with me?
If you listen to some of these crazy ass right-wing conspiracy theorists, I mean, whether you talk about, taking the dude out and drawing and quartering him and, shooting him at dawn, like these kinds of things, right?
Everybody's doing it.
It is. And that another one, some religious Trump supporter saying that, Donald Trump should basically round up all the journalists and shoot them as for treason. I mean, this is the kind of banter that's going on the right-wing fringe of this country. And it is, and as much BS as we sometimes talk, I find that it's profoundly offensive. I mean, and that to have, general run-of-the-mill moderate Republicans standing behind or not loudly criticizing that kind of terrible fascist murderous talk, and they're just making money on it, so hell, it's all okay then. I mean, we are continue to be in a tough spot in this country, and hell, hopefully this country can go 3-0.
Can we call that treason? Why not?
Yeah, why not? What the hell?
The Trumpiest supporting righty whitey talk radio outfit in Milwaukee, the Heartless one, probably the top rated station in America right now. Righty whitey talk radio in Milwaukee, top rated in the nation, pulling a 13 share in the Milwaukee Metro. That's big. I mean, that's huge. And what are they doing? They're monetizing fantasy. Normally you got to go to a strip club for that, Don.
Well, they're monetizing fear. They're monetizing fraud. I mean, they're making money on the decline of Western civilization. I mean, congratulations. It's basically war profiteering. I mean, this is problematic, people. When Trump's like running at 1-39 on the lawsuits, they're putting on his crazy ass attorney on Hannity. And the right wingers are just going to just support it. So even if they took Wisconsin, somehow, some way, the Wisconsin Supreme Court decides that Dominic's ballot, along with 220 other thousand ballots, don't count because we followed the directions that we were given. I mean, we got some big problems, but not as big as the right wing does. And I just find it very problematic that they continue to just cash those checks.
Yeah, because where are George Soros checks?
I'm still waiting, George.
844-967-2789. Our pal Dick from Madison. Dick, welcome back. What do you got for us?
Hey, guys, you got to admit that it's nice after 2.5 years that Walker's finally going to have a job. But Wisco Paul said something earlier that really struck me, too. At some point, the GOP will pay, and I agree. And here's what I'm going to say to you about him running, Trump. I agree, he's running. But as I've told you before, he's running because there's 67 subpoenas waiting for him and counting. And do you guys think there's a chance we can win those Georgia elections?
Why, there's always a chance. I would think if all things being equal, it's not a great chance for the Democrats. But if you've got a crazy president who's attacking the Republican Secretary of State and the Republican governor of Georgia in the midst of a special Senate election, we'll see, Dick. Anything could happen.
Yeah, Trump's running. Dillinger was running. Bonnie and Clyde were running. Trump's running all right.
Jay Hack, Executive Director, Common Cause of Wisconsin, going to tell us a troubling tale. Republicans trying to pre-screw the pooch on the next redistricting, gerrymandering for the next 10 years. The 4 o'clock happy hour, it commences right now.
Please move your group outside or disperse immediately. If you do not, each participant is subject to arrest.
I can take on 100,000 protesters. I can do the same across the world.
Now go home and get your f***ing shine box.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hey folks, Jimmy K here from Hotel K Pet Sitting and Dog Walking. Hotel K is your pet's new best friend, offering dog walks, cat care visits, and professional house sitting in the greater Madison area. Our pet sitters are experienced, dependable, and offer you peace of mind while you're away. Schedule now at freebellyrubs.com. freebellyrubs.com. Hotel K Pet Sitting and Dog Walking. freebellyrubs.com.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Tom Hartman program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at talk927fm.com.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Trump has been saying it for weeks. It's why he has not conceded.
This election was a fraud. It was a rigged election. I mean, I hate to say it, but this was a rigged, at the highest level, it was a rigged election.
Today, the AP Shelley Adler reports Attorney General William Barr said the Justice Department did not find evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Barr said U.S. attorneys and FBI agents have been working to follow up specific complaints and information they've received, but told the AP, quote, to date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election.
Stocks finished with strong gains on investor optimism about a coronavirus vaccine. President Trump called the director of the Food and Drug Administration, Stephen Hahn, to the White House to ask about the speed of the approval process. Hahn says federal officials would take the time needed to get this right. Dr. Anthony Fauci is preaching patience.
Help is on the way, and we are going to get out of this. We will get through this, and we will be back to normal the way we were before this particular plague hit us, and do the kinds of things that we enjoy in life with our friends, our loved ones, and all of our colleagues.
Nearly 37,000 people died of the coronavirus in November, the most in any month since the early days of the pandemic. Governor Roy Cooper says North Carolina will soon receive nearly 85,000 doses of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine from the federal government. Frontline healthcare workers at hospitals will be the first to get vaccinated. In Wilmington, Delaware, President-elect Joe Biden introduced his economic team. His focus will be on coronavirus relief.
Times are tough, but I want you to know that help is on the way.
Joe Biden's nominee for Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen served as chair of the Federal Reserve from 2014 to 2018. This is AP News.
Dell Technologies has announced their Cyber Monday sale. They're releasing new doorbusters every weekday, plus up to 50% off cutting-edge tech for your business. There's no better time to upgrade your small business with the latest laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors, plus there's free shipping on everything. Yes, everything. Give Dell Technologies advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business. Call 877-ASK-DELL or go to Dell.com/SP Cyber Monday. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What do the signs say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MagSync Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. And live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MagSyncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MagSync Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
I'm Alan Robinson, host of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I am from this city, and I am in these streets, speaking truth to power Monday through Friday about your issues. Join me from 6 to 7 p.m. on Devil Radio.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Tuesday, December 1st. At least 244 families have been evicted from their homes in Milwaukee County since September 4th, when the Trump administration's temporary halt in residential evictions took effect. More evictions likely would have been filed if not for more than the $50 million in rent assistance made available by the state of Wisconsin, Milwaukee County, and the city of Milwaukee. Most of those funds, which came from the Federal CARES Act, have been expended, making tenant advocates nervous about a flood of evictions hitting the courts next year. The recently completed presidential recounts in Dane and Milwaukee counties demonstrated Wisconsin's general election was conducted professionally and securely, State Attorney General Josh Kaul said in a statement Monday morning. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Kroot.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the first Tuesday in December, 4 o'clock happy hour. And we got a fine guest, and we'll introduce him momentarily. But I got me a German beer advent calendar. And it's December now, and it seems only appropriate. The very first day, Hell Beer, Dom.
Excellent.
For the Devils. What brand is that? A fine German.
This is Flotzinger.
And we thank our friend Hasshole
for
providing
yes
the German beer advent calendar. We've done our part. You did your part, Hasshole. Thank you so much. And welcome all you fine listeners. Jay Heck, our pal, he is the executive director, Common Cause of Wisconsin. Jay, welcome back to the big show. Hope you got your December German beer advent calendar kicking with you, Jay.
I don't go anywhere without it. And gosh, it's great to talk to you guys. It's been a long time.
Yeah, far too long, Jay.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jay.
I
Thanks.
thought I was off your radar screen. I thought maybe I said something to you in the past.
Oh,
You
no. We
cut
got
me
tough
off.
skin, man. We're okay with that.
Good. Well, it's great to talk to you again.
Jay, you know how
And I
you
hope-
stay on our good side? Bring us
Give me
fine
Tuesday.
German beer or
remember
spotted
one
cows
time.
or whatever, whatever means would allow for. PBR is good for them. Jay, welcome back. And let's talk about gerrymandering. It's been a decade of bad governance in the state of Wisconsin, not because they got better candidates and better ideas, but because they so partisan gerrymandered the state of Wisconsin, Jay. It has been a stacked deck against the Democrats since 2011?
Exactly. And all you have to do is look at 2020. Only two candidates were defeated in the Assembly and the 2020 legislature, and two in the state Senate. And that's out of 118 races. People don't lose elections because the game is rigged, and we know the outcome of almost every election. And we're headed for that process again next year. And unless a couple things change, it could be a very, very tough 10 years ahead. I'm optimistic a few things could change, but they're trying to stack the deck against competitive elections in Wisconsin again.
Jay, before we talk about the Republicans trying to screw us for another decade, let's talk about some of the bad governance that this gerrymander allows. There are a number of issues where the state of Wisconsin has been polled. And we know that the voters of the state of Wisconsin are greatly in favor of certain issues like legalized marijuana, like expanding Medicaid, mask mandates. They're all very popular with the voters of the state of Wisconsin, but not so much with Republican leadership. In fact, Jay, it seems they ignore the will of Wisconsinites, even in the midst of a public health crisis, because politics, and they're gerrymandered, they're safe.
They're not only are they safe, but some of them have actually said publicly they don't have to listen to anybody that doesn't agree with them. Remember Leah Buchmer? She famously said that anybody in her district that didn't agree with her, she never had to write back. She never had to talk to them because she knew she had a safe Republican district because of gerrymandering. And boy, the proof of that is that her district continues to be Republican, and as do so many of them. The problem is that there's no price to pay for not listening to the people when you have a gerrymandered system the way we do. And the trick is to make sure in 2021 that we can at least maybe get it back to where it used to be before one party controlled all the levers of power. But they are working very hard. Robin Voss and the new Senate Majority Leader, Devin LeMahieu, they're working very hard to try to make sure they have the same kind of partisan advantage they have in 2021 for the next 10 years that they were able to get in 2011. There's a few things that could trip them up, but they're going after the courts now too, and that's one of the reasons why I think you probably had me on the program today.
Well, Jay, it's a pretty good bet you made. First and foremost, they want to skip the district courts. They want to skip the appellate courts. Once again, they want a first stop at the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which of course is conservative controlled, 4-3 under the current makeup. Jay, above and beyond that, they would like to cut the Democratic governor out of the mix. We thought, well, we elected a Democratic governor. He's got a veto power over the partisan redistricting process. But the Republicans have in their sights, Jay, doing this by joint resolution and cutting Evers out of the veto process and effectively screwing us for another decade. Am I pretty close to right, Jay?
Well, that's one of the things that they've denied that they're considering, but they certainly are. And it's been tried before. And this was probably a little bit before your time, boys, but in 1962, There was a Democratic governor by the name of John Reynolds, and there was a Republican-controlled legislature. And the Republicans said, well, yeah, one way we can avoid having Governor Reynolds veto any maps that we shove through the legislature to favor Republicans is to cut them out and to do what's called, as you mentioned, the joint resolution. And they did that, but the Wisconsin Supreme Court at that time, a case called the Zimmerman case, said, no, you can't do that. In a redistricting case, the governor is a full and equal partner and has got to participate, and you can't cut him out of the ability to be able to approve the maps that are drawn by the legislature or not. But that was the Supreme Court in 1962. Mm-hmm. As you have mentioned, the Supreme Court that we have now, you don't know what these conservatives, especially, three particularly, and of course, Brian Hagedorn's kind of a wild card, you cannot predict what they're going to do. So that joint resolution possibility, it could come up, and it could be something that they're definitely considering. Absolutely. But the other thing is that they want to cut out, usually when a redistricting case will first go to a district court, which is a court where a trial court, which, facts are heard and witnesses are heard. They want to bypass that totally. They want to go directly to the appellate court, which is the Supreme Court, and they want the Supreme Court to rule very quickly on whether the maps that the Republicans plan to shove through in 2011 are acceptable or not. And they want the Supreme Court to be the first and last court to decide this. They don't want anybody else. They want to try to deny having even to go to any federal court. So they're doing everything they can. And what's so amazing to me about this is that the Wisconsin Supreme Court 10 years ago didn't want any part of this. It was the conservatives on the court. Remember Judge David Prosser? David Prosser, Pat, Patience Rogensack, they all said 10 years ago, the last thing we want is for the Supreme Court to be deciding something the legislature should be deciding. We don't want to participate. So it'll be very interesting to see whether they've changed their minds. And you can be very sure that the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty and Scott Jensen, who I think we should talk about for a little while, Scott Jensen is the lead on this. He's trying to get the Wisconsin Supreme Court to take this case. And it was Scott Jensen 20 years ago who didn't want the Wisconsin Supreme Court to take it. And Scott Jensen, who 18 years ago was criminally charged with felony misconduct in public office and ultimately banned from ever being in the legislature. He's the lead petitioner with the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty to take this out of the hands of the people, to deny groups like mine and to deny citizens like you from even participating in the redistricting process and having it done strictly by the Republicans in the legislature, cut the governor out, and have it decided first, last by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It's outrageous, and it's on a fast track. The Wisconsin Supreme Court's going to hear this January 15th and probably issue a decision not that long afterwards about what they're going to do in this matter.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That is our pal Jay Heck, Executive Director, Common Cause in Wisconsin, joining us for just a couple more minutes. Well, Jay, I mean, wasn't Scott Jensen and granted a little bit of reprieve by, who was a former Attorney General, Brad Schimmel, when he was, didn't he have something to do with that as well?
DA of Waukesha County.
So he wasn't convicted of the felony, was he? Was it more the misdemeanor? Because otherwise he wouldn't be able to do the lobbying job. But point well taken, Jay. That's
story. He was convicted.
It was a conviction. Okay.
3 felony counts. And what happened was because the Dane County judge had issued faulty jury instructions, it was declared a mistrial. And then in the interim between that and the next time Jensen was tried, we passed what was called the Government Accountability Board, where we instituted the Government Accountability Board, which was fantastic, as you recall. But one of the trade-offs was that the Republicans insisted that any trial that politicians were involved with, they had the choice of being tried not just in Dane County, where the crime might occur, which they did during the caucus scandal, but in their home county. And so when that trial came up again, it was done in Waukesha County, and then Judge Brian Schimmel, who's you accurately said, he let Scott Jensen off with just a misdemeanor. And Jensen then went on to become one of the most powerful lobbyists, and still is. He controls the school choice program in Wisconsin, and basically tells Republicans what to do on a whole host of issues.
J-Hack, everybody loves some home cooking. Thank you so much, J-Hack, our pal, Executive Director, Common Cause of Wisconsin. More Devil's Advocates on the other side, taking a 420 break. Coming back with your phone calls at 844-967-2788.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
Pat Slattery here, owner of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona.
Pat is someone who appreciates a smooth ride when going back and forth between Madison and Milwaukee. I know how important it is to keep my ride tuned up regularly, but I don't trust servicing my baby just anywhere.
You need to come and visit me in Verona. I can take care of the repairs and maintenance on your vehicle.
How can I schedule an appointment?
Give my shop a call at 608-848-6123 or Google Slattery's Automotive Service online.
Listen to Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
You guys are getting it done.
You boys are the light of my day, and I've been listening to you for many years.
I love you guys. You're the greatest thing that has happened to Wisconsin radio.
If it wasn't for your radio program and getting out the vote, who knows?
I got to give you guys so many props. I'm pretty sure your guys' radio station had a direct impact on that.
You're welcome, everybody, and thank you. Like, wow, Scoob, it's Devil Radio. Rebel Radio?
When they go low, we get high. Tom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Four lines are open for the 420 break at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, it is 1 month since Election Day, Tuesday, December 1st. And we've started our German beer advent calendar, and we are on the highway to hell beer, that is.
Excellent.
A fine product. Thank you, Hassel, and thank you to our most recent guest, a fine guest as well, Jay Hack, Executive Director, Common Cause of Wisconsin. Jay, you want to come around more often? Bring beer.
Man. Yeah, we love us some Jay Hack. We'll make sure we get him on more often. Rudy, I did notice before Jay came on at the top of the hour on Twitter, I looked at the trending. It just popped out at me. What's trending? Why? Ron Johnson trending on Twitter.
What'd you do, Rojo?
What happened? So I jumped on it. Manu Raju from CNN, he tweeted this out. Ron Johnson said the Attorney General should show everybody his evidence about no mass fraud because there's enough suspicions and irregularities there. Asked if he's not satisfied with Barr's conclusion, Johnson added, I think there is still enough questions outstanding. So Barr, apparently, according to Senator Ron Johnson, must show his evidence of no mass voter fraud. So just a quick couple of tweets.
Show your no evidence. Give me your nothing.
Ron Johnson should provide evidence proving that he doesn't eat penguins. Questions are being asked. And here's one I really like. Ron Johnson went on an unexplained junket to Moscow to meet with Putin on America's Independence Day. Putin ghosted him. Is pushing Kremlin propaganda, ergo on Hunter, despite sending a letter endorsing Joe Biden's actions. When will Ron Johnson prove he's not Putin's puppet? Come on. So, yes, the great senator, or the senator from the great state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson, trending on Twitter. There's lots out there, folks. Go check it out. Still waiting for Ben to get back to me about when Rojo's coming around.
Yeah, why no show, no call, Rojo?
I don't know. Maybe he's gone down the rabbit hole a little too far. Can't find his way back.
It's quite odd to see the Attorney General of the United States, Bill Barr, and we talked about this before, came out today, the Associated Press reporting, and more importantly, reported here, no evidence of voter fraud, or at least none that would affect the outcome of the election. Had to, throw an asterisk out there for all the Trumpsters. But still, the Attorney General of the United States has said no voter fraud. And Donald Trump today rolled out a lawsuit in the state of Wisconsin seeking to overturn 220,000 ballots, something of that sort, obviously to overturn the will of Wisconsin voters, skip the district court, skip the appellate court, go to the somewhat corrupted conservative branch of the Wisconsin Supreme Court and see if he, finds a sympathetic panel of jurists, partisan hacks, someone might say.
But I would, again, our friend Karen McKim in her notes, there is a specific difference. I mean, this isn't the story in Detroit where they're backing up a truck full of, ballots and running them through the system. I mean, what they're challenging, at least in the state of Wisconsin, are very specific process type actions that occurred in previous elections, including his victory last time around. But nonetheless, there are process issues that Karen McKim, and I think you and I both agree, there is something to be discussed in that regard. Now, I followed the process I was given. I mean, I voted. I want my vote to count.
You fool. You and Jim Trupis, both fools. Illegally voting.
And how many of the Wisconsin Supreme Court justices voted absentee ballot? I'd be curious to know.
I think like 5 of 7, something like that.
I logged on to the, myvote.wi.gov. I heard lots of Republicans advertising that one as well. Followed the process, scanned my ID. They sent me the ballot with the envelope. I signed the envelope, which apparently was the application. But no, now Trump doesn't think that's the case, to my reading of this lawsuit, which I take, of course, great umbrage with. But my vote should count. Everyone's vote should count. If you voted, it should count.
Jim Trupis just told you voted illegally. He voted illegally. His wife voted illegally. And none of your votes should count. In fact, none of the votes in Dane or Milwaukee County should count. But the very same process is in every other county, including the Wow counties. Well, that's just swell.
Well, what?
You see
then
the legal consistency
there. And have Joe Biden then sue for a recount in order to start
a recount of the recount?
No, a recount of the other 70 counties that were not counted, because you can't do the suit until you have the recount? Or is that going to be too late? I mean, what kind of time frame are we talking about here? These are very curious and concerning situations. But as mentioned, the senator from the state of Wisconsin wants Bill Barr to show his non-evidence as evidence of the crime.
Dominic, a intriguing headline at the Raw story. Rudy Giuliani lashes out at Bill Barr after DOJ finds no widespread election fraud. So the Trump team's attorney is attacking the Attorney General of the United States because there is no election fraud, according to the Attorney General in the Department of Justice of the United States. Attorneys Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, who are representing President Donald Trump, reacted on Tuesday after Attorney General Bill Barr said the Department of Justice has not found evidence of fraud that would overturn the 2020 election. We talked about this, Dom. Well, here's a quote. With all due respect to the Attorney General, there hasn't been any semblance of Department of Justice investigation. I can't really do the the suffering succotash style of Rudy Giuliani sounds more like Rush Limbaugh, but here's the rest of the quote. We have gathered ample evidence of illegal voting in at least 6 states, which they have not examined. Again, with the greatest respect to the Attorney General, his opinion appears to be without any knowledge or investigation of the substantial irregularities of systematic fraud, the lawyer said. Facts are facts, Rudy? You know, you're writing big checks with your mouth. I don't know if his ass can cash them.
He doesn't need to. He can get a pardon.
Weren't there reports out that the Attorney General in waiting, Rudy Giuliani, was seeking a pre-pardon?
Oh, he denied that.
Isn't that an admission of a crime? Come back with us. It'd be a crime if you didn't. More devils on the other side.
I liked beer. I still like beer.
Everybody's doing it.
Sometimes I had too many beers.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, McFarland's choice for essential radio. Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
If you believe we the people need an ongoing voice on the radio airwaves, there's never been a more important time to partner with us and support Devil Radio. Small businesses are suffering and our sponsors are already doing what they can. We need your help. This is your station. These are your airwaves, but they're not free. Please give if you're able at GoFundMe, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin, or click the Support the Station tab at devilradio927.com. Give now and I pledge you will never hear Christmas music on Devil Radio.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Talk to your doctor about creating a plan that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and
Biden's economic team. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President-elect Joe Biden has introduced his top economic advisors, including former Federal Reserve Board Chair Janet Yellen as his choice for Treasury Secretary.
The team I'm announcing today will play a critical role in shaping our plan for action starting on day one and move fast to revive this economy.
Attorney General William Barr says the Justice Department found no evidence of widespread voter fraud alleged by President Trump and others. Dr. Anthony Fauci tells Facebook the impact of Thanksgiving gatherings will not be known until people are readying for Christmas.
You don't see any difference for a day, 2, 3, 5 days. You see the difference 2 or 3 weeks from now, which would put it right at the time that people would be traveling for Christmas.
The death toll in the U.S. is close to 270,000, according to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center, more than 10,200 in the past week. I'm Tim McGuire.
Dell Technologies has announced their Cyber Monday sale. They're releasing new doorbusters every weekday, plus up to 50% off cutting-edge tech for your business. There's no better time to upgrade your small business with the latest laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors, plus there's free shipping on everything. Yes, everything. Give Dell Technologies advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business. Call 877-ASK-DELL or go to Dell.com/SP Cyber Monday. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey, y'all, it's your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and as you know, I'm a huge fan of Metamucil, and I have some news to share. Metamucil now has a delicious fiber gummy made by the #1 doctor-recommended fiber supplement brand. These gummies are a convenient way to get more fiber. That's because Metamucil fiber gummies are made with an exclusive blend of prebiotic plant-based fibers that give you 5 grams of fiber in each serving. I want you to promote your digestive health by trying new Metamucil gummies today.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Tuesday, December 1st. Democratic Governor Tony Evers and the head of the Wisconsin's election board certified Joe Biden's victory in the state Monday, as Republicans contended they should have waited to act because of a likely lawsuit from President Donald Trump. During the recount, President Trump's campaign unsuccessfully tried to throw out 238,000 votes cast in Dane and Milwaukee counties, the state's most liberal places. Republicans on the Wisconsin Elections Commission wanted to delay the certification, but Chair Ann Jacobs had the sole authority to send the results to Governor Evers under current commission policy. Forecast of sunny skies throughout the day with cool temperatures, high today of 38 degrees, low of 23 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, the Tuesday 4 o'clock happy hour. It's the happiest happy hour you're going to get out of this fine product because we're done at 5 o'clock. 2 to 5. We've settled in. Coming up immediately after this fine program, Earl Ingram. You've been missing him. I've been missing him. Earl Ingram returns to the airwaves today. And then Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood with Ellen Robinson. And after that, Dr. Tim Slecker, Busted Pencils, Educated Educators Talking Education. What a fine Tuesday lineup. Hell, it's a great lineup 7 days a week around here, Dom. Hope the people appreciate all the hard work we're doing. 844-967-2789. But I saw this intriguing headline during the break, Dom. GOP candidate says he was used without permission as a plaintiff in the lawsuit to overturn Wisconsin election results. So the new Trump lawsuit is using a Republican candidate without his prior consent. I find that intriguing. Molly Beck reporting at the Journal Sentinel, a Republican candidate for Congress who lost his election on November 3rd, says his name is being used without permission as a plaintiff in the federal lawsuit to make President Donald Trump the winner of Wisconsin's presidential election, despite receiving fewer votes than President-elect Joe Biden. Derek Van Orden, who narrowly lost to U.S. Rep. Ron Kind, said Tuesday he learned through social media posts about the lawsuit that his name was being used. Here's a quote. I learned through social media today that my name was included in a lawsuit without my permission, Van Orden said in a statement. To be clear, I am not involved in a lawsuit seeking to overturn the election in Wisconsin. Dominic, former Trump attorney Sidney Powell filed a lawsuit in federal court on Tuesday on behalf of Van Orden and La Crosse County Republican Party Chairman Bill Feehan. The suit seeks, among other relief, a new election for Van Orden and wants Governor Tony Evers to certify the election for Trump instead of Biden. Powell and Feehan did not immediately return phone calls. You can call us, guys, 844-967-2789, a little bit more. The lawsuit is one of dozens filed by Powell and one of the many that includes serious factual errors. In the Wisconsin lawsuit, Powell seeks video footage of vote counting in the TCF Center, but the TCF Center is in Detroit, which is not Wisconsin. In another lawsuit Powell filed in Michigan, she cites a witness who claimed to have seen something strange with votes being counted in Edison County, but there is no Edison County in Michigan. Powell has filed several lawsuits in key states where Biden has won, many alleging unfounded conspiracy theories. The Trump campaign last month disavowed Powell after she made claims in a news conference about a payoff scheme to manipulate voting machines. Tried to include Georgia Republican Governor Brian Kemp in that corruption, didn't she, Dom?
I mean, this is the suit right now here in the state of Wisconsin. This is Trump's
release the Kraken
legal team. And I love the TCF Center omission, or cut and paste error, I guess we'll call it. Scott Bauer did tweet out, we retweeted it at Devil Radio. Scott Bauer from the AP, the Wisconsin Supreme Court has given Tony Evers, the governor of Wisconsin, until 8:30 p.m. Until 8:30 p.m. to respond to Trump's lawsuit seeking to disqualify 221,000 votes, an unusually tight deadline that is likely to decide the case against Scott Bauer at the AP.
So the Trump team, the very astute and credible legal team of the Trump campaign, filed suit today, skipped over the district court, skipped over the appellate court, threw out some questionable merits And then expects Tony Evers. The court expects Tony Evers to respond evening of the very same day.
8:30 p.m. according to the AP.
I think somebody's lawyer is going to be paid overtime tonight. Dom, what's that? Time and a half? Double time?
Well, I mean, I'm not clear that it's going to take a whole lot to refute the BS that they're throwing out there, but whatever. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Stick around and listen. But
I don't think Tony's counsel will respond with "suck it, Trump." I mean, I think it's going to be a little more in depth than that, although it shouldn't be, but it probably will need to be.
Well, I would hope that they were prepared with some ideas already. I mean, everyone knew this was coming, but I would say this: as I was cable news channels last night, I stopped on the Hannitys, and before he had this crazy Powell on. He had Reince Priebus, Wisconsin's own, now president of Michael Best and Friedrich, the law firm here in the state of Wisconsin that has apparently now been overtaken, or was always, and now a front for the GOP.
Dom, they led the off-campus redistricting, the gerrymandering of the state of Wisconsin.
Yes,
that was Michael Best and Friedrich.
Yes.
I think Michael Gableman, also an employee there.
Yes, very, very, very Republican, that law firm. And it struck me as Hannity and I guess former chief of staff Reince Priebus, right? Was that his role at the White House for a very short time?
Naval Reserve Officer Reince Priebus to you.
As they were discussing the merits, and Hannity thinks that this Wisconsin case certainly has merit. I thought to myself, well, why isn't Michael Best and Friedrich bringing this case? Why is Sidney Powell?
Well, Giuliani also filed.
But why is he on Hannity? Why is Reince Priebus on Hannity talking about the merits of this case and letting some other attorney do it? Why isn't his firm? He's the president of the firm. He's a former chief of staff to the president of the United States who's bringing these cases.
A ceremonial position.
Why is that firm not doing it, Crudy? That's the question. And you know why? Because, of course, they want to be able to stand in front of a court again sometime in their life. Because this is an embarrassment to the justice system. They're 1-39. They don't want to touch it. But he'll go out there and support it on the Hannitys, but the law firm won't pick it up.
Well, maybe they were not sought, Dom, when you got the fine legal counsel of Rudy Giuliani, and he's got a sidekick out there in the wings, not officially on the team, but that's Sidney Powell. I mean, look what she did for Michael Flynn.
Right, he got a pardon. I need some representation like that.
Handy also recommended that Trump pardon himself, pardon his kids. And, reportedly, Rudy Giuliani said, what about me? What about me?
Well, and I think that's, and we've talked about it at length with our pal James Santel, but the self-pardoning issue, that's not going to go away. And I took note of that yesterday in the 10 minutes that I saw this disaster. And Hannity's terrible. I mean, I think sometimes I'm unprepared for an interview. This guy is he's a hack, man. I'm just going to throw it out there. I know millions of people watch him. Good for them. Not a fan whatsoever. 844-967-2789.
Jack from Merrimack, welcome back, Jack. What do you got for us?
Hey guys, this administration is just a grift that keeps on grifting.
Yes, it is.
What can you say? Anyway, speaking of something similar, today is Giving Tuesday, and I just want to say that anybody that thinks this show is great, which I do, should do what I did, which is sign up at Patreon, even though you guys aren't Michelangelo or Leonardo.
Monet!
Pretty great. I don't know about your artistic abilities. I haven't seen you guys on TV or, anything visual. Just listen to you.
Hey, Jack, if you pay enough, Dom will hit the stripper pole naked for you, man.
Oh, I think that's the $100 a month level.
Oh, he's an artiste.
But I really think, for what it's worth, we have almost 3 months, 2.5 months between Election Day and Inauguration Day. And boy, that is just turning out to be plenty of time for unbelievable amounts of mischief.
Yeah.
And I really think that something has to be done. I don't know if it can be done at the national level. It almost has to be, I think. I don't know if it could go through Congress. But the bottom line is Georgia was able to recount millions of ballots by hand, and it took them only a couple of weeks. There's no reason why it should take more than a month from Election Day to Inauguration Day. And this kind of mischief would be just canceled out.
Well, it took 37 days once upon a time for Al Gore to have the presidency stolen away by the Supreme Court in a non-precedent setting fashion. But, 37 days, that might be the cushion for error predicated on prior election cycles. But it's been, 28 days? We're 4 weeks away from the election. And, Jack, the only thing that Donald Trump is conceding is that, it's going to take a lot of money to defend all these lawsuits. He's raised between 150 and I saw earlier today, like $170 million.
Yeah, that's what I've seen now.
This month, Jack. I mean, why not keep rolling out the lawsuits? Hell, you can pay Rudy $20,000 a day if you're raising $3, $4, $5 million per day.
Jeez. Yeah, that is the grift that keeps on grifting. What can I say?
I wish we'd have thought of that.
No, Jack, thanks for the call, man. Thank you for your donation at the Patreon. We certainly appreciate it. Helps keep us going. But no, I don't want, you know what? I would rather do what we do, man. I can sleep at night. I don't want to get paid to watch the destruction of this country. And that's exactly what they're doing. And that's what they're a part of. I don't want any part of that, man. I'll be happy to observe it and give you my opinions on it. But man, I'm more about the love than anything else. And that's not the kind of life I want to have, man.
Come on, man.
Thank you.
Love don't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Might keep you warm at night, but it ain't going to pay the bills.
Sometimes love pays the bills.
Now coming to the poll, Dominic.
Hey.
844-967-2789. Pizza the Box. Welcome back, Pizza Box. How you doing, man?
Hey, Michael.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm all about love, too, and I'm loving this fiasco of Donald Trump's. I mean, you blew $3 million to lose again in Wisconsin, and then lose by more votes, even better. Find the Democratic areas and gain more votes for Biden. Good idea. Maybe he should have done dead red state. But I'm really starting to like this, because first it was Trump getting his stuff tossed out of courts of judges that he appointed. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Okay. And then I don't know. If I was Governor Ducey, I'd be looking over my shoulder, because if I saw that clip of you ignoring his ass while you were signing over the delegates to Biden too,
the Republican governor of Arizona, Mike's referencing, Ducey, was in the middle of certifying the votes, and his cell phone starts ringing, and it's "Hail to the Chief." Apparently, the ringtone selected for who, and he ignored the call and flipped it over and certified the vote. So Trump was calling him mid-certification, trying to change his mind, Michael.
That was the best part about it, was set up by a clip of him earlier talking about why he switched that dial tone over. So when the White House calls, he didn't want to miss a call. He looked at it and he pushed that silent button and he shook his head. Look out, Trump's on your butt now too. He's probably calling him Governor Deuce.
Well, yeah, he's ripping on everybody. But, and though I appreciate this, I can't even appreciate it. I mean, it is what's happening, but it's rats fleeing a ship. So, I mean, where was the courage, during the impeachment? Where is the courage when it comes to some of the legislation in the Senate? Where is the courage? Well, only now at the end, Mike, do we really see? He's got no friends, Donald Trump, and the Republicans are purely transactional. They will sell anything for that sweet, sweet snort of power.
I don't actually think it's rats fleeing the ship. I think it's fleas leaving the rats. This is fun. These guys are the scum of the earth, and everybody's watching it. And let's have some fun with this, because we're still looking at a really long comeback, aren't we? Aside from social distancing, and keep yourselves healthy, man. It's not easy, but it's obvious that it's like a game of roulette, man. That's what this is, and I don't play that kind of stuff.
Well, I tell you what, Mike, if you're going to play roulette, always bet on 92.7 or 1580. Aren't they on the circle? 92.7. The Devil Radio Roulette Wheel. We'll roll it out for Christmas. Come back with us. It's Giving Tuesday. Giving you time on the phones next.
I'm winning when I'm losing again.
This election was rigged. This election is a total fraud.
What? I couldn't hear that last part. The connection just got really bad.
But nobody likes me.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast, just two buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say. Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
The Lazy Oaf Lounge is Madison's East Side place for friends and family. Whether it's for lunch or dinner, you know you're in for a tasty treat. Awesome apps, burgers, pizza, and the best fish fry in Madison. And join us to cheer on the green and gold with 50-cent wings, beer bucket specials, and free Jell-O shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Plenty of TVs inside or out on the patio. The Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road, and online at lazyoaflounge.com.
You care for the house, the kids, and our future. A Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Eric Holder, he's the former U.S. Attorney General and current chair of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee.
The notion that Scott Walker is saying that we are doing something to push partisan gerrymandering, that is the pot calling the kettle total black. I mean, that's absurd. He is one of the architects of among the most gerrymandered states in the union. All we're pushing for is a fair process come 2021.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. I am once again asking you to listen to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM. I believe they have the moral fiber to create a progressive movement in Wisconsin and indeed in America.
Women want them, men want to be them. Tom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, join us. Toll free at 844-967-2789.
You know, occasionally, Dominic, I've noted that friend of the show, Ron Johnson, U.S. Senator from the great state of Wisconsin, has turned a little Joe McCarthy-like. And found a little article at the Raw Story. Want to, kind of close the thought with this today, Dom.
Yeah, okay.
CNN's Ronald Brownstein compares GOP silence on Trump's loss to Joe McCarthy's enablers. Looking at you, Rojo, he's trending on Twitter, right? CNN's political analyst Ron Brownstein penned an analysis that compared today's Republican Party to those from Senator Joe McCarthy's Red Scare during the early days of the Cold War. Here's his quote. In McCarthy's era, most of the GOP leaders found excuses to avoid challenging conspiracy theories that they knew to be implausible, even as evidence of their cost to the nation steadily mounted. When Republicans today throwing around communist and socialist as pejoratives for Democrats, it can be difficult to see where McCarthyism began and ended. His attacks began in the early 1950s when the U.S. Congress created the House Un-American Activities Committee to investigate the private lives of Americans in the military and government. For McCarthy, that quickly spread to a crusade against Hollywood, musicians, and the literary world. He destroyed careers with a mere subpoena, demanding people name names of other communists they know. It's Dominic. The most famous of which was an attack on American sweetheart Lucille Ball, whose hit show I Love Lucy was the most watched show in the United States for 4 out of 6 seasons. She was a rating machine, Dom. His badgering of witnesses led to his downfall when Americans watched the hearings aired live on television. He was ultimately censured by the Senate in 1954. History.com describes McCarthy as a Republican who bullied, lied, and smeared his way to power, destroying many careers and lives in the process. The chief enabler of the time was Senate Republican leader Robert Taft, who Brownstein compared to today's Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. In many respects, the congressional GOP response to Trump has paralleled the party's response to McCarthy. Whatever their private concerns about Trump's behaviors or values, remember when Ron Johnson used to privately express concerns about Donald Trump, said he wasn't a fan?
Yes, I do recall that. Seems like a long time ago.
I guess those concerns have been alleviated, Dom.
More of a fan these days.
I read on. Whatever their private concerns about Trump's behaviors or values, the vast majority of congressional Republicans have supported Trump since his 17th inauguration at almost every turn, brushing aside concerns about everything from openly racist language to his efforts to extort the government of Ukraine to manufacture dirt on his eventual Democratic presidential nominee, Joe Biden. He cited conservative Bill Kristol, characterizing it as the dog that hasn't barked. This is as if we've had the Army McCarthy hearings and everyone is just quiet. No one is rethinking anything. Even with Americans voting Trump out of office, his influence is expected to continue through President-elect Joe Biden's term. Some Republicans are already starting to rewrite the last 4 years. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, blamed Democrats for GOP dysfunction during Trump's term, despite Republicans like Hawley ruling the Senate for the entirety of Trump's 4 years in office. But while Hawley is serving as a loyal Trump soldier, the president is now at work bringing down other Republicans. Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue already called for the resignation of their state's Republican Secretary of State. That has now grown into a movement to blame Governor Brian Kemp, Republican from Georgia, who is now under attack. The governor has done nothing, Trump said in his Fox interview with Maria Bartiromo. What'd they call her?
The propaganda princess?
Oh, yeah. I'm ashamed that I endorsed him. MSNBC's Rachel Maddow noted Monday evening that Arizona Governor Doug Ducey was certifying the election in his state for Biden when either Trump or VP Mike Pence began calling him. Monday afternoon, Trump retweeted a comment saying that Ducey has betrayed the people of Arizona. He added his own commentary. True! Exclamation point. Brownstein compared today's Republicans to following McCarthy into deeper and deeper waters of conspiracy theories. As with Trump, McCarthy didn't create the Red Scare. Brownstein explained he merely magnified it. Trump has employed a similar tactic, amplifying divisions in the United States. Ironically, however, Trump has done so with the help of Russia. Intelligence last year showed Russia-connected teams discussed ambitious plans to stoke unrest and even violence against the U.S. as recently as 2018, said NBC News. Republicans followed Trump down the path just as they did McCarthy. Do we not learn? I mean, Joe McCarthy eventually lost, right?
No, obviously the answer is no. Hell no, we don't learn. If you don't know history, you ain't woke. I heard an old guy say once.
Yeah, but you can't trust those sort of no good next time. You know what's coming next on the big docket? Earl Ingram Jr. He's back on the radio airwaves. And I'm excited. I've been missing Earl Ingram. He was on our fine show yesterday. We promised you a 2:00 start. Well, that meant the Devil's Advocates. We're now on.
It meant it now.
2 to 5 p.m. You know, we'll tell you why. There's some secret plans in the works.
Oh, yes. You're just going to have to stay tuned for like 3 hours a day for the next month and a half. We'll tell you.
Something very big is happening, I promise.
Something
very big.
Very, very big.
At least medium size.
All right. Real quick, I know we got Earl coming up. I know we're running out of time here, so I want to get a couple out here. Caitlin Collins, CNN, reporting her tweet, Barr's meeting lasted over 2 hours with the president. Apparently, he just departed. That was about 40 minutes ago.
How long does it take to say, you're fired?
And we referenced the AP quite a bit today, and Scott Bauer, the Wisconsin AP writer, one of them, he tweeted out, and I think this is a nice summary. I think we should wrap up the show today in Wisconsin. Besides the Devil's Advocates' greatest radio show ever, 2 to 5. Stay tuned. Here's what Bauer tweeted out today in Wisconsin. Trump campaign files lawsuit seeking to overturn Biden win. Trump backers file similar lawsuit in federal court seeking security footage from TCF Center, which is in Detroit, not Wisconsin, and naming a plaintiff who says he didn't give permission. Republicans on the Wisconsin Elections Commission call for resignation of Democratic chair because she finalized canvass showing Biden won. She declined to resign. Rep 89, of course, we mentioned this earlier, John Nygren from the state of Wisconsin. He is resigning, creating a leadership void on the budget committee and a new daily record high for COVID-19 deaths.
Or as we call it, Dom, Giving Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to our fine guest, Judge Chris Taylor from Dane County. She's running for re-election. Jay Heck, Executive Director, Common Cause of Wisconsin. Thank you for the Advent beer. Thank you, Fancy Brian. Stick around. Welcome back, Earl Ingram Jr. to the airwaves. And then Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood with Ellen Robinson. After that, it's Busted Pencils, Dr. Tim Slecker. It's going to be a good night. We're not even close to done yet, but the Devils, 2-5. We're done.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president.
Will there be a lawsuit? Yeah, probably.
Release the Kraken.
Why do people run from me?